Time check, it is some 10 minutes past the hour of 8. This is still 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. We're talking money this morning. And fellow Ghanaians, I know that this is a topic that we're all very, very eager to sink our teeth into this morning. And all throughout the day, we're going to be slicing and dissecting money matters. It's the mid-year budget review 2025. At 10 a.m. this morning, the Minister of Finance, Dr. Cassia Latoforsen, will be in the House of Parliament to tell us how the last 6 months have been and also forecast into the future what the next 6 months or so, or at least up until the end of the year, what exactly it's going to be looking like. And this morning I have the men in the studio with me, and we're going to do justice to the topic. Let me say good morning and a very warm welcome to Mr. Joseph Paddy, Director of Industrial Relations and Public Relations Officer, Ghana Union of Traders Association. Guta. Mr. Paddy, good morning.
Morning.
How are we doing?
We're doing well.
I know today you're eager, you're ready to listen to what the finance minister has for us.
More than the word eager.
It's something we'll be breaking down.
Is very high.
Very high.
Oh, yeah, we expect something much. In terms of the economy, we want to see how the economy is driving, and what are the things they are doing right, and what are the things they are doing wrong, and what are the things we need to do right. We'll be looking forward for all these things.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Also in studio, I've got Mr. Edward Kariwe, former General Secretary, General Agricultural Workers Union, GAU. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Kariwe.
Yeah, good morning.
How are you doing?
Very sweet, eh? It's a nice weather for me.
Okay, you like the weather this way?
Yeah, I like it this way.
Better than when it's very, very hot and...
Yeah, something like this I can do, bicycle riding, I can jog, that's why I like it.
Okay.
Yes, if I'm feeling cold, I just jog.
I need to learn from you. We all need to learn from Mr. Kariwe this morning. This is the perfect weather for some physical activity. And also in the studio, I've got Michael Ogbodu, and all things business. He's going to be breaking down the figures for us. Mr. Ogbodu, how are we doing?
We're good, and counting down to 11 a.m. where the media budget presentation will commence. And we are looking forward to some really interesting and progressive outcomes from the presentation to sustain the current progress we've made with the economy and hopefully see the next level in scaling all of that up.
Most certainly. And we'll also be having some slides up on the screen. So if you're watching us on Facebook, you can follow along. But let's lay the foundation. Michael, let's give the people listening some much needed education. When we talk about the mid-year budget review, what exactly is the essence? What are we looking forward to hearing this morning from the finance minister?
So in very simple terms, the mid-year budget review is basically an opportunity for government to sort of come again with the budget it presented at the start of the year. So from the name you hear it says mid-year budget review. So at a half year, you take stock of how far you've come and then use that, the progress you've made or how things have turned out to, for instance, revise your notes towards the end of the year on the budget that you started with. So that's just basically how you plan to spend for the remaining of the year and also how you plan to introduce into your budget new updates that may have come up from the global front and the likes to measure that as against what you started with at the beginning of the year to make sure that your plans or your projections or targets are met. Basically that.
Fantastic. Succinctly put. So today we should be looking forward to an evaluation of the progress so far against the targets that were set. I know many people are eager to find out how much has actually been spent against what the targets were, because we're told that this government is operating a fiscally discipline regime. That will all come to light today. So fellow Ghanaians, we put the numbers side by side and you can give your own rating. So Michael, could there possibly be some adjustment of the projections when it comes to revenue, expenditure, and so on and so forth? Even the growth, GDP growth, could see some adjustment.
All of that is hopefully going to reflect in the mid-year budget review. We've seen some upward projections from some agencies on, for instance, the growth targets and the likes that in some cases are even higher than what the government had projected for the year. For the revenue side, of course, I'm thinking that from the way things are going, we may be seeing some increase in the revenue projections for the rest of the year, because at least from the data that we've seen for first quarter of this year, GRA exceeded its revenue target by about 5 billion cedis. We've also seen that the gold board has been able to raise some significant revenue for the government. As we speak also, the data from the Bank of Ghana indicates that the import cover has increased significantly. I think sometime last year, we're looking at just about 2 weeks of import cover, but as we speak at the moment, the amount has been increased to about 4 months, which is significant. So the revenue side is looking pretty good, but is there room for improvement? Definitely, because we are an economy that is recovering, and we need all the money we can get to be able to reinvest into the economy and grow it larger. You know, this government hasn't started spending yet because they are trying to manage their debt. But the key question is, we still do need the money, and how do we raise it? Because remember that in the 2025 budget, they scrapped quite a number of taxes that were bringing in some good money.
That's
the
right.
e-levy, for instance, was brought some significant revenue into the kitty last year. However, that has been scrapped. The betting tax has been scrapped. Emissions levy has been scrapped. So all of these will have some impact on the revenue. So the question is, how are they planning to sustain or replace those ones and then raise more revenue to keep the economy going?
Most certainly. And this morning we'll segment our discussions under these various umbrellas, and then we'll expand the conversation. So expect to hear about a macroeconomic overview. Michael is here. We can talk about exchange rate. We can talk about GDP. We can talk about some other indicators. We'll also talk about fiscal and tax policy, a very interesting tax handle, which isn't new, by the way, but it's now been famously called D-levy, Doomsor levy. We can also talk about that and its impact, although I suspect that it's way too early for us to have a proper assessment of the impact of that 1 Ghana cedi per litre of fuel levy. We'll also talk about labor and wages. There's a capping at 10%. Government says we're not spending more than 10%. I'm sure that the labor unions will have something definitely to say about that. We'll talk about public services, social services as well, policy reforms, as well as the political and business views. We live in Ghana, so sometimes we can't divorce the two. We'll also have an opportunity to take a look at the political landscape as well. But let me come back and let me speak with Mr. Karewe. Your expectations of today, just your very preliminary expectations before we get into the nitty-gritty.
Well, good morning to you.
Good morning.
And good morning to those who are listening to us. I think that I just have a simple expectation. It's like when you set something in motion, you expect the thing the economy has started well, so I expect more, to hear about that. I expect more good news for the economy. It has started well, so that is my expectation in all areas.
In all areas?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's a whole. The economy is a whole. And so far, all is good. And when I say all is good, it's not to say that we have achieved all that we wanted to, but we have started well in almost every aspect of the economy. And that is what I'm expecting to continue.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Paddy, what about you as well? Your preliminary hopes for this mid-year budget reading?
Yeah, I think before I come to that, Michael said something about some tax handles, which I was taking off, and what are they going to do in terms of revenue mobilization. I believe we've said it over and over a time ago. Just expand the tax net. That's it.
Expand the tax net.
We have about just 30 people in the tax net. Just bring 30 in addition to make it 60. You get the needed revenue from that. So the issue is about doing the hard work to expand our tax net. And that's the prescription. Nothing more, nothing less. Because if you have the 30 people who are always paying, and you have about 70 out of the tax net, you're going to have a challenge. So that is why compliance is not always high, because only few people are in the net. So if you take your rate down and you bring more people into the tax, you get the needed revenue you need. So that's the answer to those questions. But we're expecting a mid-year budget that is business friendly.
Okay.
Yeah. When I talk of business friendly, we want to see some cuts. Yes. And then we want to see some realignment in our tax regime and our tax system. So these are some of the few things we want to hear from the minister, that this mid-year budget is business friendly.
All right.
We wish we get down, we get up in the morning, and then dollar is 1 to 9 cities. It's business friendly.
All right. We'll talk about that most certainly. So, Michael, let's take a trip down memory lane and take a look at what that budget reading in March had to say. So let's put the graphics up on the screen and look at that. So we've got highlights of the 2025 budget, and I believe the budget reading was sometime in March. Am I right?
Yeah, it was in March. It was
11th March.
11th
That's right.
March, exactly.
Okay.
It was. I think it was a much anticipated one. Everybody was curious to see what the new government had in stock for us, and some very interesting numbers came out from the macroeconomic targets for 2025. One that's very interesting there is the end period inflation, 15%. But interestingly, they exceeded that target sometime last month, where inflation actually dropped significantly to about 13%. And it's interesting that Paddy is here, because he was on Business Focus on Monday arguing that if inflation has dropped significantly, then why isn't the policy rate also dropping in tandem? Because of course it's high because government was trying to bring inflation down. So if inflation is finally down, why not ease off the economy a bit? But of course, from what we've seen right now, and even some quarters are projecting that inflation could end this year at a single digits.
So you have Deloitte, for example, projecting that by the end of this year we're looking at single digit. We started off the year at 23.5%. That's
exactly.
January 2025. As of June, 13.7%. So, like you said, the target has been exceeded.
And that 13% was a significant jump, because the previous month it was about 18%.
That's right.
So about 500 basis points drop, which is very, very significant. And interest even beyond Deloitte, some other persons like Nelson Kujo-Kwagbeji had projected that we're most likely going to end inflation with a single digit for this year. So it's looking good, and we hope that they continue with the momentum, and hopefully if industries like Guta and the likes continue to drop their prices further, inflation, we should be able to hit single digits any moment from now. So overall fiscal deficit, they're looking at 3.8% of GDP. It just shows you how frugal this government was really positioning itself to reduce the debt portfolio and ensure that we are resetting the economy, like they put it. We see the real GDP growth target at 4.3%. I believe the World Bank released a report that put it higher, I think about 5% or so. I need to look at the number. Yes, quite higher than what the government had projected. And when international bodies are projecting a growth rate higher than you are projecting, it indicates that the prospects are looking even much better than you are probably anticipating, which is really good for us. And so we are waiting to see what the numbers for the first quarter would look like, and then that will give us a fair idea of what the subsequent months will look like. We're looking at primary balance, a surplus of 0.7% of GDP, quite conservative. We'll see how things look like in the next couple of weeks, of course, for the half year, to know how the end of the year.
But Michael, for the uninitiated, when we say primary balance surplus, what exactly do we mean?
So basically, when you balance between your imports and your exports, what is left?
Okay.
Basically, that's what is left. And we're looking at 0.7% of GDP. That's the total economy size. We're looking at gross international reserves. I believe this also has been met, because we are seeing, they were hoping that we'll be able to have about 3 months cover. But as the figures that came from the Bank of Ghana, we had about 4 months.
Right.
So it just shows you that this government has been very focused on hitting its projections for the year. And it's quite commendable that a number of the projections have been met half year already, before the year ended, which is significant. So we'll be interested to know if they are planning to revise their notes and maybe increase this, for instance, to probably 6 months by the end of the year. Because if you've been able to do 4 months import cover in, say, 5 months, that is quite impressive. So maybe Ato will be very ambitious and want to increase it to 6 months cover. We'll be looking forward to see how that looks like.
Something tells me he'll still be conservative, measured in his projections.
You see, the thing that excites me, and as a negotiator, when you should be conservative and allow the outcomes to speak for you. When we go to do negotiations for workers, it's better you tone down your proposal.
Right.
You tone down your expectations. So when you tone down your expectations or the expectations of the workers, and then you are able to get more than that, then they now appreciate you. But if you say, look, we are going to have so much, and you get there, and you are not able to get that, then it means that you have not worked well. So I think that the government is simply, we have to work.
Right.
We have to work, and the outcomes will speak for us. And that is what we should be looking at.
Absolutely.
Rather than always trying to use words. And at the end of the day, look, the Ghanaian population is just completely, unhappy in the past about the way, we talk. And they say action speaks louder than words. Speak less and let the actions speak for you. And this is what is happening. And that's why I'm saying that it has started well, and I just expect it to grow. Whether they revise it up or they still maintain it, at the end of the year, the results will tell us. And if the results are more than double or increase, then we clap. And that is action. We don't want a government that talks. We want a government that delivers.
My point is that at where we are right now, you've met quite a significant number of your targets already. Yes. So what's the point in being conservative? Why not go all out and stretch your wings a bit more?
But Mike, you have to tread cautiously. Once upon a time, somebody said, I've arrested the dollar, and I've given the key to somebody. But finally, the dollar broke jail. So you need to tread cautiously.
Yes.
These are some of the. So I like this advice. Yeah, you need to be cautious.
But it's a conversation of the fundamentals, and they are looking good.
At times when you are too ambitious, it catches up on you. Yeah, so that's some of the. You must have a balancing act. Yes.
Why should we? Outcomes are more important than intentions. You see, the budget like this is intentions. The outcomes is what we are looking at, and one of the major weaknesses is that we don't hold the people accountable at the end of the year. At the end, they will say so much, and we get excited and we clap for them. At the end of the year, they don't meet it. Meanwhile, you have already clapped for them.
So you say this approach is the right approach. Be conservative. If you exceed the targets, we applaud you.
Because, you see, you are also dealing. You are not only dealing with core economics. You are also dealing with the psyche of the people. All those things feed into your economy. Am I proud to be a Ghanaian? Am I proud of my city? Today, where is the motivation for people to take cities, go and buy dollars and keep? But in the past, that was the case.
That's right.
Many people, as I know, are now complaining they don't know what to do with their dollars. If it is business people, you can't continue to hoard the dollars. You will certainly need to spend the dollars to get goods and the rest. So they will release it. Today, the demand for the dollar from ordinary people is very minimal, because what do you need dollars for? To keep it? It's no more a store of value.
Yeah.
You see that?
That's right.
So this is what goes into economics. And if we sustain this type of mentality, we are also looking at attitude of the Ghanaian, and that is how patriotism can be brought back. So there are so many things that are happening now, apart from the core economic figures and the rest that we are talking about. Ghanaians are now proud, and you can see on social media some other countries. I say, look at what Ghana city is.
That's right.
Look at what Ghana city is.
That's right.
And that is pride. That pride is what we need. Because, look, and those things, all of them, when they work well, they improve the economy. We are talking about the Americans. We are talking about this. Why? They are proud of their dollar. They are proud of their everything. It's because they believe in their leaders. But we don't want leaders who just come and say something and then look, a leader, we are all where we are because of our leaders. And for some of us, sometimes when they blame ordinary people, I don't want to accept that. We are leaders.
Everything rises and falls with the leadership.
Look, why are you leader? It means you are followers. The word leader means we are leading.
That's right.
And there are followers. So if you lead them badly, you come back and turn and say that it is all of it. It is not. The way this studio is designed, I am not part of it. Those leaders who have designed it, if it is nice, we clap for them, is that not it? And it's beautiful. So leaders must, bear responsibility for all that. But you see, when they want to run away from responsibility, they say it is all of us. It is all of us, Ghanaians. Who does not know that we are all Ghanaians? But we have different responsibilities. So I think that this is a right leadership style. A right leadership style that motivates the people, that gives the people confidence, and that makes them proud. And that's what it is today. You don't need to come out on radio or TV to say that, oh, you see, the cedi is doing well, Ghanaians are no more taking cedis to buy dollars to keep. That they are acting already, and it's reflecting.
Thank you for that, Mr. Kariwe. Let me also welcome into the conversation former MP Bilsa North, Mr. Timothy Awotirim. Sir, good morning to you. Hope you're doing well.
I am doing well, and it seems your mic is welcoming me well in this studio.
We will adjust that for you, but do get comfortable.
Yes.
Do get comfortable for me. We're dissecting some portions
and let me say good morning to my guests who have been here earlier. In fact, I was caught by time because of miscommunication between your producer and our outfit.
Okay.
But I just had to make it and to join this two noble people before you. I hope the discussion goes well.
No, we're already in a good flow, so we're expecting good things in this conversation. Michael, so back to what we heard in March. We're still going through the highlights of the 2025 budget that was read in March. So we have some key policy initiatives.
Yeah, and top on the list, I think that was one of their trump cards ahead of the 2024 elections. That was the 24-hour economic policy that they were hoping to use to boost productivity, job creation, and exports. And we've seen a number of other initiatives launched under that. The accelerated export program that the president is chairing, the committee basically are in charge of that. A few weeks ago, the 24-hour economy was basically launched, and we've seen other things like the review of key laws to support revenue efficiency and transparency, Petroleum Revenue Management Act, the Public Procurement Authority Act, Ghana Cocoa Board Act, Fiscal Responsibility Act, amongst others. I think all of this is just geared towards ensuring the fiscal responsibility that this government has been championing since its campaign period. And a number of these haven't been done yet, to the best of my knowledge, but we are seeing how all of that will play out soon. And of course, what the finance minister has to say with some of these revenue, there's laws that we're hoping to review to champion the whole conversation on improving the fiscal position of the country.
Most certainly. All right, let's move on.
So the Ghana Gold Board to stabilize forex and reserves, I think that has been done, and I think that it's to some extent it's living up to its mandate. We know that the Gold Board has brought in significant amount of forex into the country since its establishment, and we're looking forward to see how the year ends with it. But so far so good from what industry people are saying, and then full enforcement of the Public Financial Management Act, and those are some of the initiatives that this government was hoping to push in order to really stabilize the economy. Domestic revenue mobilization target was 185.5 billion. We do know that according to the GRA, the first quarter of this year, the target has been met. We'll be looking forward to see the numbers for the second quarter and how it's going to look to the end of the year, and if there are plans to revise this target even further, looking at how the other interventions have fared, like the gold board and the likes. We're looking at the GRA to broaden the tax net, especially in the informal sector. We've seen the Ghana Revenue Authority embark on a number of engagements with the public every now and then. We've done quite a number of stories of that for us as 3 Business, and that is still ongoing, but there's still room for improvement. There's still, you heard Paddy say over there, although a number of his members are those in the informal sector who are not paying their taxes fully, I hope.
Well, he's here today.
He's here today, so I'm sure he will have a lot to answer on that, because, you know, interestingly, the trading community holds a significant chunk of the economy. So when he talks about widening the tax net, I hope he understands that it means bringing more of its members to pay the actual taxes that they are supposed to pay, especially when they are already raising concerns about the VAT and the likes, which government hopes to reform to get more buy-in, and then tightening compliance and tax exemptions and internal generated fund policies. Those are some of the things that this government is looking at. Total expenditure, they're looking at about 202 billion Ghana cedis for the year, and that's what a lot of people are hoping to see, where the government hopes to put the money in for the next half of the year, because you've heard the minority in parliament say that this government is not spending, or would you say not spending at all, or spending enough, because there are still some key capital investment that need to be done to get the economy running, moving it away from the conversation of stability to actually proper growth. Compensation for employees, we're looking at 61.5 billion. Capital expenditure, 32.6 billion. Some are arguing, is the percentage enough, looking at its ratio to your total expenditure? If you even look at the numbers carefully, the amount we are paying for debts is higher than our investments in capital expenditure. I'll see if I can pull out the numbers for you. So those are the critical questions. How does this then translate to the growth of the economy? If you're not spending that much in capital expenditure, if you're not putting in enough money in roads, in hospitals, in schools and the likes, how does this now trickle down to the economic growth that we all hope to attain? Then there's the social spending protected, education, health and social protection prioritized. We've seen quite a number of policies in that regard also. Then we move on to a domestic and external debt service.
Actually, Michael, let me pause you very quickly.
Sure.
Just go back one step. So when you put all of this together, you're looking at about some 291 billion Ghana cedis. And I think I mentioned this morning.
Yeah.
We will be juxtaposing this number against what has actually been spent so far to really analyze whether or not this government has been fiscally prudent. And I think that's a number that quite a few of us are keen on analyzing.
I think that at this point, the fiscal prudence bit is a foregone conclusion. This government has been very fiscal prudent. The other conversation is that, is it making enough investments into the critical sectors of the economy? Are they releasing money into the system to grow the economy? And I think that's where the conversation really is going, and that's what everybody's hoping to get answers from, especially in the mid-year budget presentation today.
Certainly.
Doctor, you want to add something?
You see, it's not just about spending, it's about quality spending. You see, this is our country. We've been born and bred here. We've had the opportunity to travel to other countries. I feel sad sometimes when I fly into Accra and I see Accra. It's like a big village. Accra does not befit the modern status of a capital. Even
with all the lights, as you are landing in Kotoka, you see the bright lights.
Even infrastructure, our buildings, all that needs to be recent. If you go to other developing countries, our neighbors, and see the type of massive investments they are making, we are just joking. But the thing is, we have spent in the past. Where are those? Look, we had a year of roads, second year of roads. Where are the roads? What is the quality? So you see, it's those who are within 6 months or so, you are seeing the government is not spending. No, it is only a foolish person who will spend without pausing to look at whether or not you are getting benefit for your investment. It's not, I won't rush government to put money into something. It's like pour water in a basket. You have to make sure that you stop pouring the water there, plug all the loopholes before you now continue to pour water. So I think that we should not push government, and those who are pushing the government, I think government should listen to some of us. Because at the end of the day, you are going to account for all the money that...
You say government should not succumb to this pressure of, okay, you are not spending, start spending, because that has been a major critique of this government. And
I'm saying within 6 months, if you inherited an economy that is broken, you need to repair it first. And the time of repairing, you don't spend. Because you don't know whether the money will get to where it will not get to. And then you cannot spend that way. You'll be reckless. How do you spend when you have not made the necessary repairs on it? And I'm saying that government should know that we want efficiency. We want value for money.
Right.
So much money has been spent in the past and we never had value for it. If the value is there, all of us will see. I will benefit. You will benefit. Everybody will benefit. But here we are. We spend money. Look, the so-called expenditures we made, we are hearing so much that those monies went into people's pockets. And you can see it. Some of them, even though they will say, no, they are yet to be proven in court. And we see that some of them are already evident that there's a waste. So we don't want our government to take our money and engage in wastage. I don't need you see, there are certain things when you say them, I don't need preaching. If I need to a preacher, I'll go to my church. I'm a Catholic. I'll go to church, and there are professional preachers. I don't want somebody, an ordinary person, to come and preach to me. Like you come and read a Bible verse. To show what? It's an attempt to. So I don't want my minister for finance to be talking. And he's so quiet. The respect is that you have been made minister of finance to do what? To deliver. So deliver. Minister for energy, deliver. This and that, deliver. And that is what we want. So those who are pushing government that they are not spending, and in any case, 6 months, what do you expect the government to spend on? You must correct the system first. Otherwise, if government starts spending now, some of us will call on government that, look, tell us, have you made all the necessary corrections before spending?
Very important point there. Let's go through a few more of the slides, and then when we come back, we'll dissect it. We're just laying the foundation now. So we've also got a debt strategy. You've got domestic and external debt service to be restructured. Domestic maturity, some 111 billion Ghana cedis in 2025. Also, when it comes to external debt service, between 2025 and 2028, the expectation is some $8.7 billion with 55% of that due in 2027 and 2028. You also have debt to GDP ratio reduced to 61.8%, partly from Euro bond restructuring. All right, let's get into the meat of the matter. We've laid that foundation for you this morning, and the conversations, in fact, have already started. Mr. Paddy, let me come to you. How have traders and businessmen coped with recent exchange rates and inflation trends? Give us your overview of the last 6 months.
For the last 6 months, it's been good for the business community in terms of dollar-CD relationship, where we've seen a significant stability in the CD against the dollar. So it was a welcome news for the business community. It has impact on our trading activities and our business activities, especially when we go to the port. Almost every week, Bank of Ghana comes with a new rate for purpose of duty. So if the dollar goes up, your duty goes up. So if the dollar comes down, your duty comes down. So we've seen some stability in there. That's why when you come to the market space, you don't see this increase of price of goods and service almost every day and every week that we used to experience some time ago.
That's right.
Today you go and do a window shopping, then following day you go, the price has changed. You have to come back home, go and do another window shopping, the price has changed.
That's right.
But for the past 6 months, we've seen some significant stability in the price of goods and services. So the economy is doing well for the business community, but there are other aspects that we need to also look at. One of the issues we're talking about is the realignment of our tax regime, which is also a challenge to the business community. Like Michael was saying, that the informal sector don't really pay taxes. Not that they don't want to pay, but the tax regime is not formalized. It's nothing to write about. It's segregated. So what is government? We want to hear something from the minister. What is government going to do to realign our tax regime? There's still parity in there. Some are paying 3%, some are paying 4%. We don't know whether we are practicing sales tax or VAT tax. So these are some of the difficulties we find ourselves as a business community. Once upon a time we used to do sales tax. They introduced the VAT regime.
That's right.
And so we don't know whether we are practicing sales tax or VAT, because you do flat VAT rate and then you do a standard rate. And then there's no parity in there, and there are some of them who are not even in the threshold.
That's right.
When you have less than 200,000, we are not in the threshold, and there's a lot of people in that segment. So we are saying that why can't you make it so uniform, so that it should be user friendly for the business community? So when you have, like I said earlier on, the 70% of people who are outside the tax net. If you bring just about 30% of them to add up to the 30, and we have 60, we will see compliance level going up, and we'll see our revenue mobilizations go. But most time, I believe the minister is going to talk about revenue mobilization.
That's right.
But you can't talk about revenue mobilization when you don't talk about trade facilitation. Because revenue mobilization goes with trade facilitation. So if a business don't grow, your revenue doesn't grow. So what are you going to do in terms of trade facilitation in the area of interest rate? Now, we've seen that inflation has dropped to about 13.7.
That's right.
Which is a welcome news for the business community. But policy rate still stands at 28.
Indeed.
interest rates stand up between 35 to 40%. So which business? So even this one alone defeats the purpose of 24-hour economy. Because the 24-hour economy is drive towards production and for export. And no businessman will go and do production at this rate of 35% or 40%.
Simply too high.
Too high. To go and borrow at the rate of 25 for production. Meanwhile, your competitor out there is borrowing at the rate of... So, and I use the example, for example, a copper price in the world market is the same. Let's say about $3, copper price. So I'll go and buy copper at $3. The one in Togo is going to buy at $3. The one in Nigeria is going to buy at $3. That's the raw material. But when it comes to production, I'm going to borrow maybe 1 million. We're all going to borrow 1 million for that production. And I'm going to borrow at the rate of 35 to 40%. And then my competitor is borrowing at 3 to 5%. Obviously, his price will be cheaper than mine. That's why cost of production in this country is extremely high. So these are some of the things we're talking about. If we want to drive this 24-hour economy, that there are certain things we need to look for. You see, where are we going to get cheaper credit for that purpose? Even somebody was saying, even if you get a credit for even 10%, it is high for production. And coupled with that, in recent time, utility too is going up. When we've seen stability of price of the stability of the CD, why is it utility also going up? It's also helping to this production aspect. Because you can't go and then pay so much high utility and be competitive in the open market. So these are some of the things we expect the minister to be looking into. What is he going to do to make sure, as much as we are experiencing inflation downward, what the impact it might should reflect on our interest rate, so that businessmen and businesswomen, business community can have some respite in terms of doing business. So it's a concern to the business community. One, how to realign our tax regime so that we all be compliant, tax compliance, and also how to rationalize our duty rates. You go to the port, duty rate is around 50 to 55%. So, and you expect compliance to go up. People always look for ways and means.
That's right.
You don't blame them for that. So just imagine you import a goods worth about 100,000, then you are paying about $55,000 for duty purpose. I mean, who will comply with this?
It's not sexy enough. It's not attractive
not at all.
enough.
Not at all.
Now, when you talk about the utilities going up, it brought my mind back to the 24-hour economy.
Yeah.
Some kind of reprieve that government is hoping to offer business persons who would like to be part of the 24-hour economy is some reduction in tariffs and some other incentives that we're told could, potentially...
Like cheaper credit?
That one was not on the table. I certainly cannot confirm that. But at least on the part of the utilities, is that enough of an incentive, do you think, for the business community to buy into it, if they will get that incentive? Okay, so we have some of the incentives also up on the screen. 24-hour economy policy incentives for businesses. No import duties. You've got... and under that, you've got renewable energy infrastructure, raw materials, industrial logistics infrastructure, manufacturing equipment. These are things that would fall under that. We talk about the electricity tariff, for example. So between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m., you're looking at tariffs dropping. Regular trade expos, long-term low interest on loans through the Development Bank of Ghana. You also have state institutions to prioritize local goods. Mr. Paddy, how does that sound, these incentives, these goodies?
We did a research in one of these West African countries. And you know what they do with their fertilizer? Now, what they've done a PP agreement, the private-public sector agreement, and what they do is that government does the importation of the raw material and gives it the local industries to produce for them, so they get it at their own cheaper price. So, because if government is importing raw material, it's duty-free, right? So, all your input and everything you produce for me, I don't have the factory, I don't have the produce for me, and I'll give it to farmers. And that is why now Nigeria can proud themselves and say we are 80% self-sufficient when it comes to rice production. 80%, they say 80%. The last time we went, they say 80%.
80%?
So, yeah, 80% rice production. They are self-sufficient. You see? So these are some of the things we're looking forward for. So if government is going to give all these reliefs, it's a good thing. But they don't stand in isolation. If giving me all these things, but I run to the bank to go and borrow for production, and I'm borrowing at 35%, 40%. That's why I'm asking, if government is going to really drive this 24-hour economy, there are other aspects of the reliefs that he's giving or the incentives he's giving that has to also be looking at. Let's look at our tax regime. Let's look at our tax regime.
All right.
Yes. Let's look at our interest regime, interest rate. Anybody going to 24-hour economy, can we have some funds down there for you, maybe at 5%, 10%. There's some moratorium, because the bank gives you money today, tomorrow start calculating their interest.
That's right.
Yes, but in other jurisdictions, they give you 5 years, some 2 years, some 3 years. Release, so start paying. So these are some of the things we should be looking at when we are able to do that, because business community, we are not interested only in importation. Some of them want to drive, per the volumes they do, they want to drive into production, but there are so many things that is going against them, you see, in terms of tax,
right,
in terms of interest rate. So we should look at all these areas. Otherwise, this 24-hour economy is a welcome news. It's a good thing to do. I try to see if it works. You know, one of the days I got up in the evening and the night around 11 to 12 a.m. I said, let me drive through town and see. And then from wherever I was coming from, it took me about 40 minutes to get to a filling station to buy fuel. All the fuel stations, I was going to bed.
All asleep.
I came to Osu, right from Makati. I got to fuel from Osu. So look at security. That's the challenge.
That's right.
So if you want me to patronize 24-hour economy, what is the security aspect of this country? Can I be secured to go to Tema at 2 a.m., go and clear my goods and drive down to Accra? How secured is it in the environment? So these are some of the aspects the business community are looking forward for. What our government put in place to make sure we are secure, we have a secured environment to trade in and to do business in.
Now, we saw before the 11th March budget reading by the finance minister that he went into the market spaces, he was engaging market traders and getting a feel of what the biggest challenges were. This time around, do you feel that there's been sufficient government engagement with business associations in shaping the budget? For example, what has been your involvement so far? There has been.
Let me be sincere with that. There has been. For the past 2 weeks, we've engaged almost all the agencies. We had a meeting with Shippers Authority. We met the Bank of Ghana. We had a meeting with Ministry of Finance, I think last Friday. Ministry of Finance, we met them. We've engaged a couple of the authorities. Then it looks good. You know, recent time we were complaining about the activities of the shipping lines in the country where they charge arbitrary and they use their own rate to charge. We complained to Bank of Ghana. Now Bank of Ghana has come out with the directives that no shipping lines should charge beyond that commercial bank rate. Yeah, so they gave the directives just yesterday or 3 days ago that the directives came out. So we've engaged them a lot. Now the engagement we do with them, that is why you don't see us coming out to agitate and anything, because we believe that governance is a collaborative effort between your stakeholders and then the authorities. So now if that engagement is going on, once upon a time the government was far from the people. Governance was far from the people. But now I think they are bringing governance to the doorsteps of the people.
Or does it always start that way? In the initial stages, government is quite close, but as time goes on,
they started drawing back.
Yes, when things get a bit difficult and the answers are not forthcoming,
their first love started dwindling. Their first love started going down. We hope it doesn't work that way. We hope it continues. That engagement continues. That collaborative effort continues. Because you can only succeed when you collaborate with your stakeholders. Because we are on the ground. We know what happens. If you tell me to tell you all the people who are doing under invoice over invoice, I can tell you. If you tell me to tell people who are at the free zones but who are doing exemptions and changing their names, I can tell you. We are on the ground, so collaborate with us. Let's work together as a team. Then you succeed. Also, our business succeed. Facilitate our trade. Facilitate our business. Let us grow.
Certainly.
We'll grow. Your revenue will obviously grow.
Fantastic. Let me bring Honorable into the conversation. And this preliminary, and in fact, you can use that microphone and then we'll swing this one over here. I didn't get the opportunity to ask you your expectations ahead of this budget reading. So let me take that from you and then we'll carry on.
Yes. First of all, let me make a brief comment on this issue, the 24-hour economy, and whether or not enterprises and then the manufacturers will be able to source low interest loans. You see, people must understand that the 24-hour economy is a journey. It's not a destination. You must continue to pursue it until finally we achieve what we want to achieve. We cannot be doing the old things over and over and expect to move forward. So the 24-hour economy is a thought-through policy, very innovative policy that everybody must be mobilized to support the 24-hour economy. And let me allay the fears of Mr. Paddy. There's going to be interest that will be commensurate with production. and that we are aware that interest rates alone can eat your profits, including other overheads. So the 24-hour economy has been widely consulted. I believe that they came to you, and the issues are that it is not unilateral. You must register. It's a policy. It's a policy. So it isn't that if you just get up, you are doing 24-hour economy. Fine, you are doing it to the best of your ability and capacity. But it's a policy that has come to stay with us, and you must necessarily go to a secretariat and register that I have the capacity to do the 24-hour economy and give you a program, and that is how you are going to benefit.
So actually, you must register your desire to take advantage of the goodies.
Yes, it's just like if you don't fall within the free zones enclaves, you cannot benefit from people who are within the free zones enclaves are doing. And I keep telling people, if you want to enjoy the free HSS the government is sponsoring, your child cannot be attending a private school, and you think that you should be enjoying. If you want, you have to enroll your child in the public school. That is how you can track and know the number of registered companies in the free zones and what they are doing. So that if you can't be doing the 24-hour economy by yourself, by your capacity, and if you think that you are not going to be enrolled, you are not going to be forced to be enrolled. And remember the Women's Development Bank. It's another issue that 51 million Ghana cedis seed money has been given. And we are not going to build new structures. We are going to use probably Ghana Commercial Bank or the Consolidated Development Bank, which is 100% owned by the country, and then we spread it across the country. So when people are asking whether you want to build a structures or not, no, we can even use community banks. He knows that. My place, we is a community bank. We can even channel the funding through that and set up a special desk for people to access.
Honorable, before you, let me come in quickly.
Yeah.
Before you come, I agreed, but the challenge we have here is that once upon a time, there was a bank called Agricultural Development Bank.
Yeah.
But the purpose for that bank wasn't achieved. It's to support agric business. But we see them doing commercial activities.
I agree.
So
Mr.
if you
Paddy
want to move this one to
no.
other sector of
we
bank,
are not going
the purpose will not be achieved.
No, please.
Yes. So that's what I want. Yes.
No, the agricultural development. It is not because agricultural development we're not pursuing the purposes for which it has been assigned. Yeah, Ghanaian, you go to the agric manager to beg him that I want to do this, give me money, and then he looks at the fact that this is an indigenous bank, and he supports you. Do you get it? Sometimes even our own conduct, you know that agric development bank is purposely built for this purpose. But you go and say Ghana, it's an indigenous bank. They want to help Ghanaian business. Then they veer into other areas. Then you turn around, you have
So why should we? I don't think that's a fair argument to use because the bank was established with a mandate. And if a large chunk of the business you are doing is in the commercial industry rather than the agricultural sector, then you are not
that microphone for me,
sometimes banks do divert because they want to also be in the business and make money. If they feel that the agriculture sector is not yielding the necessary or the... I'm just saying it's not because it's written. I'm just trying to read into why sometimes indigenous banks, because their own banks, will veer into supporting other businesses that initially are not couched under the mission and vision of that institution, because we want to support our people. We do not want them to go borrowing with high interest rates. If we begin to tighten all the noose and the knots on almost every institution that has been designated to fulfill a certain particular areas, we'll move into a different. But it's an initial. Now let me come.
Yes.
The tax net that people have been talking about, I agree it should be widened. But to what extent? What have we done with the current tax system? Have we been able to ensure compliance? Are we giving the maximum of our taxes from those who ought to pay and they are not paying? You don't add on to a system that is not even yielding from its initial or visions and so on. So in as much as I agree for tax to widen the tax net, let us equally call for an efficient tax system that we will be able to mobilize the current one to the best of the ability of the institution before we move forward. Then talking about the not spending. Look, we are spending. We are not spending fraudulent contracts. We won't pay fraudulent contracts.
When you say fraudulent contracts,
I'm coming there because there's an audit across every sector that the audit is revealing certain discrepancies, and some of them even double invoices. The same invoice you used to pay for this thing, you turn around and bring it to be paid for the same thing. How do you expect government to pay when our resources are not like the legendary Kemidas, who touches everything is gold? Even if it's the legendary Kemidas, who must spend it in an effective manner for the benefit of the people in Bulsa North, Sandema in the Upper East region, not for a few people who are politically connected. A contract, this one is buying 100 Ghana. Then you send an invoice, they pay you, then you turn around and send it. We are unearthing all this in the contracts. We have paid all statutory funds. We've paid all the statutory funds. Look, as I talked to you this morning, students in London, we owe them £40 million. Can you imagine? All that is only in the UK. £40 million on scholarships. We haven't gone to the other European countries. That is the economy they handed over to. Every institution has been run aground. Not run aground, has been sunk into the earth. We need to dig them up again. A colossal amount, total revenue for the previous government was over a trillion cedis. Total envelope, including tax revenue alone, was over 500 billion. Loans, 30 billion. Look, institutions and all those things. Now, when you do that, and then you juxtapose the quantum of development to the amount of revenue that came in, you would find out that it is abysmal. Look, almost every major road project has been left uncompleted. It has even been destroyed. Government would have to look for money. Government are just currently renegotiated the Nungwa stretch. So the principal, if I agree to come back, they'll be signing and all those things. All the major roads. This budget is, the review budget is going to come. We are leaving about 64 billion Ghana cedis to tackle all major roads. So this current review is going to ensure that we build on the foundation that we've reached so far. The fundamentals have been brought up. We do not want to slide back. Okay. So some revenues have been refenced, including the oil money, to be used purposely for roads. Unlike previously, where it has been spread thinly across sector area, that it vanishes into thin air. We want to be able to track and know that if we have ring-fenced the oil revenues and other revenues that are accruing to us, and use them for even just roads for the next 2 years, major roads and major abandoned bridges and roads. For instance, I'm happy that the road from Ejiso that you can cut across through Ejura to Nkranza, to in between Kintampo and that. If that road is done, you know the rough, used it several times. In fact, it's a huge respite to transportation, to businesses along the road, to even cutting down hours of traveling from here to the north and so on. That is huge respite to businesses. You see the Eastern Corridor, all the major roads are going to be tackled. Okay. So for me, one thing that is clear is that the minister will not come there quoting Bibles and wearing white linen dresses to deceive the people.
Michael, you're looking at me.
Wear this usual dress and speak truth to the people of this country, because we are a government that talked about it, said we cannot come in to continue to repeat what has been done over decades, that you, the younger one. I was telling someone this morning, the youth these days, they are not going to say that I belong to NDC MPP. They are going to vote for a government that is going to meet their needs.
A government whose policies they can feel in their pocket.
Can feel and get jobs. Look, we are moving from, this is my stronghold and this is my stronghold. And I believe that what you are going to see in today's budget and the next 4 years, we will fulfill, by the grace of God, what we told the people of this country to do. And people will clap for us, and it will be a foregone conclusion that the years ahead, people will use our government to be a yardstick to measure good governance in this part of the world.
Thank you for that, Honorable. And like I said this morning, we can't extricate the politics from this discussion, so we'll certainly be taking that bite as well. Michael, you wanted to make an intervention, and from that we go on to Mr. Carraway.
Sure, thank you, Helen. I just needed clarity because I had 60 billion for roads.
Yes.
So are you preempting the media budget presentation from what you're expecting to see in there? Because total capital expenditure for 2025 budget was 29.4 4 billion. So you just mentioned 60. I need to be clear on that, because if you are going to do,
it's for 2 years. But from now to the next 2 years, so it's going to be spread across.
Okay, so that will bring it.
Go.
That will even bring it to 30 billion on roads for this year alone. Please give us more details how you are planning to fund that, because that means that
the
because
budget.
Please let me learn. Your total capital expenditure, including roads, is 29.4 billion. So if you are saying 30 billion now is going for roads alone, please tell us how you are funding it.
The funding is, that's why I told you, most of, we have been so austere on expenditure. We are not going to spend frivolously. So if you look at even government appointments and so on, we've done what? We've reduced considerable the billions of cedis that we used to go at the Cluster House for just presidential staffers and other ways we are going to cut. And I told them we are going to ring-fence the oil revenue and some revenues we are getting from the gold export and so on, to ensure that these monies are strictly meant for that. Remember that as we talk now this morning, the debt to GDP has reduced to 43%. We can borrow, but if we want to borrow, we are borrowing wisely and targeting a particular project. It's not like those that you borrow and can the money fizzle into thin air, you don't know what to do. As we sit today, the government has not yet borrowed. All the expenditures we have paid, including the state, the constitutional bodies, those national health insurance, and we use domestic money, the domestic revenue to fund that. And revenues are good. We're even getting surplus on the revenue. Remember that we're only borrowing through the usual treasury bills to pay public, salaries and so on. And we paid them all. One time ago, with a cost of about 4 billion, they gave us over 10 billion. We took the 4 billion, sent it back there. No, we didn't know. That is how we talk about prudent spending. We would have taken it because they gave us more than we requested. And we took what we needed for that purpose and returned it. So everything has been calculated. Very soon, you will see exactly where the amount of money and all the major roles will be captured in today's budget.
That is a fair one. However, it also negates the fact that you need to raise the money for the capital expenditure. I remember that the president also said that this government will not borrow unless the project can finance itself. So help us understand. I'm sorry we are turning to government spokesperson right now. Help us understand how you are planning to fund the roads and the roads funding themselves and paying back the loans.
The roads can fund themselves, because even I keep telling people, simple mathematics. You see, people would want to drive on good roads and then pay. People want to pay a little toll and drive on good roads. I drive from here to Sanama. If I can cut down on my, on my traveling hours, and then the cost of vehicle repairs is reduced and I'll pay 10 cedis or 2, people are prepared. Some of these roads that we are going to do, there will be PPP funding and so on.
Right.
And I've already told you the major funding is going to come from our oil reserves. So that money, John Mama, so don't tie that money. That money is going to be used for this purpose, which I agree with. I've often been against the spreading of this oil money over a lot of sectors, very thin. Then they use them for consumption purposes.
Right.
I believe that a construction of a 3-tier lane from here to Takoradi, people are prepared to pay the toll in order to get free movement of their goods and services. People are prepared to pay from here to Sugakope, where it is always congested. People are prepared to waste less hours from here to Kumasi and do their businesses and back, so that they will be able to get more money, because time is money. And if you waste so much time, you get that sometimes even become sick as a result of the road, the bumpy nature, and so on. You want to have a healthy road, traveling, they also get a healthy body to be able to transact your business. So for roads, it is not just paying off. When you build roads, look, road is a social institution. It's also economic. It employs. It cuts across. You cannot develop when your roads are in tatters. You cannot carry your goods from the rural areas back to the cities at a cheaper cost to sell, affordable cost to the people. Where in this country, when the Ministry of Agri was turned into plantain selling, and what was the reason? The reason was that transporters increased the cost of transporting goods from the farm goods to the city. So ministry came in order to be able to bridge that gap. But it never resolved the matter. So if the roads have been opened up, we have our cocoa and other cash crops coming in, I believe that the next 4 or 5 years,
that's how we get that revenue. Thank you for that, Honorable.
Ghanaians were asking for the reintroduction of the toll.
The road tolls.
Yes, but even at the time we cancel it arbitrarily. In fact, the minister should be charged for cancelling it because it willfully caused financial loss to the state. Because the appropriation bill hadn't been.
So we are talking about now.
I'm coming
Yes.
there. But the budget captured that we are bringing back the road tolls.
Yes.
I think
Indeed.
you heard it.
Yes.
The budget captured, and we are going to use electronic payment system. As automatic the automation. I think that will yield more revenue. Because even with the manual one, we're getting between 80 to 100 million a year or so on road tolls, and that is even without the preference, without the leakages on the road toll. That was how much we were getting. So 4 years, if I hadn't collected that is almost 400 million Ghana cedis.
And you say somebody has to account for those monies that we have lost.
Yeah, 400 million Ghana cedis estimate. Because if it is about 80 Ghana, plus or minus, it should be getting to 100 or so. If we wanted to really tighten the leakages and the loops there, would have gotten at least 100 million. Even if you are taking it at 80 million consecutively, you multiply by 3 years, it's huge. I'm telling you that you can use that to build hospitals.
Indeed.
To do boreholes for our people who are drinking from worm-infested waters and so on. There are some areas you go, the markets are dilapidated and so on. Nurseries are not there and so on. As we talked this morning, because of prudent spending, maybe it hasn't even occurred to you that we are running a free HSS. Because we've all forgotten of the cries we used to cry that free HSS, we are sending, food for our kids and so on. The kids are no more making noise and so on. Schools are procuring the food.
In fact, we've increased the school feeding program by some amount of money.
By some amount,
Yes.
because we've cut off monies that would have gone into some unscrupulous politicians' pocket and so on.
Honorable, thank you for that.
Look at the bills at the buffer stock. It is nauseating and irritating. And when we pick up officers who man these things, people will go making noise as if they had won power. They would have allowed those people to go with those looted funds. It doesn't mean that if they had won power, they would have allowed their own people who were stewards on this state institution to go. You need to investigate them. It doesn't matter whose horse is God. Whether you're an NDC or an MPP, let's do the right thing, because that's what I'm telling you, we are gradually getting there. The youth of this country, they are going to vote based on who does what.
Very
and
important.
Not that I was born into NDC, I was born into MPP.
I was born into CPP.
And I believe that we are going to leave a mark for these 4 years for it to serve as a guide.
Honorable, thank you for that.
Good governance in this country.
Thank you for that. Mr. Karawe, let me come on to you. Let's talk about this 10% minimum wage hike. That's the cap that we're being told. Yeah. Do you believe that sufficiently addresses real worker needs? Let's think about inflation at this time. At least it's going down. Food inflation, we're seeing some marginal decline as well. How do you situate this 10% in all of this conversation?
Well, first and foremost, to get people to buy into your policy, you must create a sense of belongingness. And when people have a sense of belongingness, they are ready to go with you. No one would say that 10% cap is good. I mean, it will solve our problems. And where are our problems as workers? All of us are workers here. Where are our problems? It's about goods, price of goods and services.
We are not workers. I've never been appointed.
Oh,
it's honorable lobbying live on air.
No, of course. No, I've included him. I need to exclude himself.
It is like I need to.
No, you need to exclude yourself.
So
you are not working.
Prospective workers as well, listen up. Yes.
Yes. Now you can see if workers are suffering, what about non-workers? So honorable must be suffering more than some of us because he's not working. You see, Ghanaian workers have contributed to the development of this country. In fact, we have been a pillar to what you can call Ghana today. Ghana would not have been what it is but for the contribution of workers. And in any country where workers are sidelined, that country will never see development because they are an indispensable pillar of development. What we want to see is that those who are entrusted with our resources are using them judiciously. I went to the filling station yesterday, fuel station, and I filled my tank. I dare not do that in the past because I could not. Now, if I see my leaders, like Honorable and Co, be modest, I will also be modest. Look, years back, the smoke was not as popular as it is.
Yeah. That's right.
Today, those days you could only identify to a native clan somewhere where it was produced. Today you can't tell who. Everywhere is being won. It's because of our leaders. You see, our leaders have destroyed this country and destroyed our psyche and destroyed our values. They have no values. In fact, some of them are no leaders. They are thieves.
Mr. Karawe, this is very scathing.
Please, why? I could be look, you see, some of these things I'm a Ghanaian. The worst that can happen to me as a human being is to die.
That's right.
So, and I don't know when I'm going to die. Who owns Ghana more than me? Or any of us here? We must say it as it is. Do you think that I am happy with the state of affairs now? If in the past 5 years until now, I expect that things should have been improved. The next 5 years, do you know what will happen to this economy? If we don't rescue it, if we don't reset it, you will be in traffic, you will never be able to get to work. You think that I'm a happy person as workers? Look, state lands within the center of Accra, do you know where workers are now staying? All of us will know. Amasaman, Kasua, Dodua, whatever. And yet, the lands, the public lands, they sold them to themselves. If you go to other countries, that is why I'm saying that we are fortunate to have traveled and seen what is happening there. They use the central part of their cities to build social housing. The workers who you pay them a little, you now push them to Dodua, Amasaman, Kaswa, and beyond. How much do they spend in a day to come to work? And when they are going, apart from the economic cost, what about the stress on them? You see, this is what, look, Ghanaian workers, we are very, very angry. But you see, we are angry at our leaders. We want our leaders to show modesty. I don't expect to look like my leader because he's my leader. There are certain provisions they must have. I was talking to one of the guys, he said, look, you see now that His Excellency John Mahama has taken the fuel coupons or whatever from the government appointees, they should also take their clothing allowance, and I resisted. I said, no. I'm a labor man. I go to negotiate for clothing allowance for other workers.
That's right.
They are also workers. And I asked him, today I'm not the minister, so I can dress anyway. Wear my jeans and all manner of things and go anyway, my t-shirt. There are places, if you're a public official, you cannot do that.
That's right.
So I need to be clothed. And I'm saying that if they give them clothing allowance, I will not, if they take that away, I will resist. Because I go to negotiate for those things. So I asked him, the bank staff, do they give them clothing allowance or not? He said they give them. Do you know where they get the money? They charge you. Yeah. They charge me and give them clothing allowance. Then I say that they should not give government officials. You know, we cannot do that to our own people. We just have to hold them on to do the right thing. How much do they have to spend? Look, by what we have seen, immediately they get into power, they are something else. So what I'm saying is that workers will be ready to accept this if government shows the way.
You don't foresee any unrest maybe in the coming weeks or months based on this?
You see, unrest is like conflict. And we have it all the time in our homes. But we don't want it to go beyond a certain level. A man and his a husband and wife, they stay in the same bed, and yet they have problems. You and your friend, you have problems. But you must learn how to resolve those ones. There will never be a situation where you don't have worker unrest. But we want worker unrest at a level that government can still go on. And we want workers unrest on matters that you can really point up to. We don't just want to get up and go on strike and so on. But I'm saying that you will still have resistance from workers because they don't trust. When you don't trust, it leads to conflict. As of now, don't think that we have trusted our government so much. We are now beginning to trust. You see, and that's why the question is, there was a question here that, oh, they start good. You even put it.
That's right.
Initially, they start good. And then later on, they turn bad. We want them to be different from that. Yeah. People are doubting the government. And legitimately so.
I mean, you can't begrudge them that opinion because of what we've seen.
Of course. I myself sometimes. But you see, I have confidence that they should continue that way. And that's why we don't want them to talk. Tell me, do I need the minister when I go and fill my fuel? Now, Ghanaians, the Dumso levy or what some people call it, why? What difference has it changed?
Oh, the price has gone up a little bit.
Who brought the price down? Who brought the price down?
Mr. Kariwe, were you not enjoying it without that one city? I mean, at the start of the year, it was very cool.
I come here, I give you food. A bowl of food. Then I take a morsel of it. And then you say I shouldn't have taken it. You were here without food. Ghanaians who were here when the fuel price was 15 cedis and beyond. Who brought it down? What has it changed? I mean, how can we behave this way? And I'm saying government must be focused. Leadership must be focused. And I'm saying they are doing the right thing, because if they are not, you will say it, because I just don't know the next 5 years how. If I can see that the next 5 years Ghana will not be good, I will make noise. And I want policies that lead to that. You see, this expansion of the tax, it's a good thing. You see, so far, the tax levels that we have in this country, it's not so bad. It is not so bad. The revenue that we collect in this country is not so bad. It's just about how we use our revenue. It's about how we use our revenue.
Mr. Kariwe, are you satisfied, though, with how much we collect, given the burden? Let's say, when it comes to income tax, you know, the Greater Accra region bears over 80% of that. Imagine if it were expanded to the other regions, how much more money we'll get. I know Honorable says that really it's how we use the money. There's no point collecting it in a basket full of holes. But imagine how much more we could do with more.
You see, we have all those expectations, but we have to do step by step. I'm saying so far, what we have collected, how did we use it? It's not so much about how much revenue we get. It's about how we spend it. Look, I was getting fed up, and I was getting to a point where when you invite me to come and do budget analysis and all those things, I will not come, because it makes no sense. We don't want, look, sometimes the question asks, oh, do you think that the figure they have allocated for this sector is good, is sufficient? We are moving away from them. They will allocate in the budget and they will not disburse. They disburse and it doesn't get to the target group. So it's a waste. It's a waste. And we've seen it. We are not talking from conjecturing. We are not, it's real. Go to the various ministries and find out at the end of the year, all their allocations in the budget was given to them. We look at the district assembly, those common funds and so on. They were not being paid.
No, now we have paid everything.
Now they've paid. Even if you have areas, we have, this is what we want to see. So it is not that I am against revenue, but I'm saying that when this government came, they are using internal revenue to solve some of our problems. We need to pay our debts. Look, you see, when you owe somebody, it is no more in your bosom to decide to pay or not to pay.
You must pay.
You must pay. So those who are thinking that we can ignore our debts and go ahead and make certain investment, no, you cannot do that. They will take over your investment. Those investments you are making, if you don't have money, you see, just take a simple life. I owe you. You see me using money here and there and say I'm building my house. Meanwhile, I owe you. You think that you'll be happy? I have money to build a house and I don't want to pay you. You would initiate some action against me. So we cannot take our creditors for granted.
Right.
So we need to pay our debts. We need to discipline people. And I'm saying that all those who have, spent money badly in this country before, and government can hold them for the money, they should hold them.
Are you hopeful for that?
Come again.
Are you hopeful that that will happen?
Well, you see, I have to be realistic. The fact is that you can't catch everybody. There are some thieves, they will steal, and when you hold them, they will still move away. I'm a local boy. When we go fishing, you know the mudfish we call a catfish and the rest.
Yes.
Very difficult to catch.
Very slippery.
Very slippery. When you hold the tail, look before you can catch that one. You have to hold it well. I'm saying this to tell you that we should not think that all those who have caused financial loss to this country, they can arrest all of them. Some of them will still use the law and escape, but they should be able to get a lot of them. When they get a lot of them and discipline them, then and put also in place measures. The tax you see, expanding the tax net.
Right.
It is not today that we have been talking about it. We've been talking about this years back. Why is it that it's not being done? I think that governments should not rush. They should find out why the previous ones have failed. This time round, if you want to expand, you must understand the system well and make sure that the expansion is done.
Right.
But it's not just to say that, expand. And we've been talking about the expanding tax, and they have not been able to do it. Why? We need to study that.
Doc, can I give you the reason why?
And then, no, you can give reasons. And sometimes we have to also be, it's not, and I'm coming back to, briefly on this 24-hour economy.
Right.
People think that it has come, so it will solve all our problems. No. It's to aid you. And everybody should look within the 24-hour economy. Where can I fit myself? Yes. Some people want security, others do not want it. You see, they do their businesses. It has nothing to do with security. Where are your challenges? Then you go there, then they will assess your challenges. And I'm saying those who are working in the 24-hour economy must also be careful. Because some people will come there, get assistance, and then they will misuse it. They have to put those checks in place.
Sakara, let me just slide tackle you very briefly here. Take a breather for me. I want to play something for us all. We'll take a second and then we come back in studio. I know those of you watching online, you're following on keenly. I have so many comments and I would love to read it out to the gentleman, but keep following us on this journey. Let's take you down memory lane, okay? Yes. This is still 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7.
Speaker, I present to you the budget statement and economic policy of government for the year ending 31st December 2025. Right Honorable Speaker, today marks a moment of great significance, and I have the singular honor to stand before this House to present on behalf of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, following his extraordinary mandate, the maiden budget of his new administration. Mr. Speaker, I'm deeply grateful to His Excellency the President for entrusting me with this responsibility. Respectfully, Mr. Speaker, I also submit to this House the following statutory report as required by law. The 2024 annual report on the Petroleum Funds, in line with Section 48 of the Petroleum Revenue Management Act 2011, Act 815, as amended, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also submit the 2024 Energy Sector Levies Report in accordance with Section 6 of the Energy Sector Levies Act 2015, Act 899. And finally, Mr. Speaker, the 2024 annual report on the collection and utilization of the African
3FM 92.7
in line with
Urban
Section 7
Lifestyle Radio
of the
Station.
African Union Import Levy Act 2017, Act 952. Right Honorable Speaker, with this budget, I will also be seeking a review of the following act to support the policies of government aimed at stabilizing the economy and promoting inclusive growth. The first will be an amendment to the Petroleum Revenue Management Act 2011, Act 815. The second will be the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund Act 870. And the second will be an amendment to the Mineral Income Investment Fund Act 2018, Act 978. The Speaker, I will also be seeking amendment to the Energy Sector Levies Act 2015, Act 899. I will be seeking amendment to the Ghana Cocoa Board Act 1984, the PNDC Law 81, as amended. The Speaker, that's not all. I will also be seeking amendment to the Earmark Funds Capping and Realignment Act 2017, Act 947, the Ghana Procurement Authority Act 2003, Act 663, as amended in Act 914. Speaker, I'll be seeking amendment to the Ghana Education Trust Fund Act 2000, Act 581. And finally, Mr. Speaker, I'll also be seeking amendment to the Fiscal Responsibility Act 2018, Act 982, and incorporating into a comprehensive public financial management act. Mr. Speaker, I forgot to add that I will also be seeking amendment to the Revenue Administration Act 2016, Act 915. So, Speaker, we remain committed to the pursuit of our 24-hour economic policy of stimulating economic growth and job creation. Right, Honorable Speaker, this policy will contribute to addressing Ghana's structural economic challenge by creating an integrated, efficient, and increasingly export-driven industrial economy that fulfills the utilization of our national resources, capital, and labor power. Right, Honorable Speaker, will be presenting the 24-hour economic policy to Parliament in due course. In this respect, Mr. Speaker, the Labour Act, the Ghana Investment Promotion Act, and other enabling legislations will be reviewed accordingly. Mr. Speaker, as part of the effort to stabilize our city through foreign exchange and gold reserve accumulation, I will also submit a bill to provide a legal framework for the establishment of the Ghana Gold Board for the consideration of this House. Mr. Speaker, this budget is indeed an abridged version of the 2025 budget statement and economic policy of government. I respectfully request the Hansa Department to capture the entire budget statement and economic policy of government for the year ending 31st December 2025. Mr. Speaker, standing here evokes a sense of nostalgia as I reflect on my journey in public service. From my early days as a young parliamentarian in this House in the year 2009, destiny has guided my path from a backbencher to a member of the Finance Committee, to a Deputy Minister of Finance, to ranking member of the Finance Committee, to Minority Leader, to Majority Leader briefly, and now, Mr. Speaker, as Minister responsible of Finance. Right, Honorable Speaker, the invaluable experience I gained in this chamber has shaped my perspective, sharpened my focus, and prepared me for the task at hand. I fully commit to supporting His Excellency the President to fix the economy of Ghana. I take this opportunity to extend my profound gratitude to the good people of Ejuma Koinyanesiam and constituents, and to you, Mr. Speaker, and members of this House across the aisle for your unwavering support throughout my years in this chamber. Mr. Speaker, this esteemed House is a century of rigorous debate, principled cooperation, and at times constructive disagreement, all in the pursuit of greater good of our beloved country. I look forward to working with you, Right Honorable Speaker, and my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to reset the Ghana's economy through sound policy and structural reform that will propel our country
Urban Lifestyle
forward.
Radio Station.
Speaker, there comes a time in a nation's history when fundamental challenges must be confronted, difficult choices must be made, and a new course must be set for the future. For Ghana, the defining moment is now. Mr. Speaker, President John Dramani Mahama made a commitment to reset Ghana for jobs, accountability, prosperity. The Speaker, as captured in the NDC manifesto, in this regard, the theme of our budget is resetting the economy for Ghana. We want
3FM 92.7. Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
All-time check. It is some 25 minutes to the top of the hour, 10 a.m. You're still live here on the Best Breakfast Show in all of the land. This is still 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. We're playing a small game of musical chairs. When we come back from this quick insert here, I'll tell you who I've got in the studio. But my colleague, George Quainin, he's hit the streets of Accra, Abosokai, to be precise, engaging with some traders and what they're looking for ahead of this mid-year budget reading. Take a quick listen. When we come back, we get more into the meat of the matter. We're discussing the mid-year budget review.
Then I was expecting our budgeting.
On to me, Bibia, my $100 or so at $2, so you need dollars to pay you. Me, baby, I cried in my cramina. I don't know which my am. I wish was so gonna be no say from 17, about 10 something. I think I go for say 17, who may most can I question be Mamiana. Who be your mammy? Who pay us a hand? Maybe I cry in my Namina over there to me. I had the demorage there ever from Yama, a banner, who then Yama, and the meet me Casaba. Into clearly, funny say first half of the year no. You can say assess performance. Maybe 1 to 10 now. Osha, President. The MPP here na Ogusu a ohye ne ma ne ma so ohye ohye nwie. Ohye nwie ntu ono antimi nya bibia. The MPP no egu ho no eno na Ogusu a oto aso. Me ba me hu ni wa gibi ode aba. E wo ha sei.
But your first thing.
Your friend must say
Osei clearly is not really enthused about how things are going, and then for him, he doesn't expect anything from this very budget, because whatever we are saying about the gains made by the CD against other major trading currencies, he cannot witness it. Even he assessing forex is very difficult for him, and so these are his concerns. He doesn't expect anything from this media budget review. Let's still engage people here, and if you just tuned in, we're coming to you live from Abosokai, and I've seen some two gentlemen here. I think they don't want to talk; they're camera shy, but I will still engage people here on what the expectations are of the budget. What's it saying?
What
do you say when it's every budget in there? Now, then we expect, apart from the fact that ABO says CD stable, what are some of the major things you're expecting?
Well, Ghana, I never mostly expecting from government, and say, especially a grade four, say, and Yama be stable, between me. At 10 years so, and I say, on by BB such a way, say, Yaho behind ye. Until I expect to say, at least, no, I will make it found be at least a bit to my boy, a best support to trade industry. Said about my young so I did Ghana the idea, no, Yaho entry be brave, because mostly no cities new dollar new costra will be asked a more kind of say, and Yama boy a day. But most no shares so Ghana, Hano, and yet dollar near Didra, a cities. But almost taking it for granted, say, and Emma boy because of dollar cost. Until you be making sure, say, ye abandoning your BBA and confess dollar no air cost until Nema boy bedding. The moment you say, Yan Cassan, yes, can I use you? Emra from and I say, Yan Nika, and find trade, am I a home toy? Near you dollar new free, a system, you say, dollar cost or a man, Nema boy. Until I don't expect to Sabano and you be Sana, or more ready, Monian such a way, say, Bama Nema boy for.
But also, Cranium.
We cranium my free.
If I say me who are they, we beat to say, net auton is saying.
We first make a set, your friend shops as well.
Okay, shop, yeah.
Set, no, 500 Ghana. Okay. Yeah.
Is it $1 number from no? Is it the same price?
It's the same price because of dollar number from no. The time now make cotton. Not dollar.
I do with your money, son.
Yes, and to get your money, son.
Oh, yeah, sure, say. In your money, son, of body.
I can even say to you, sir, now, and your money, your craban is the idea. A bit to my perform. But the already done idea. A bit of a century.
Son, you want to be affected with the new dollar rates, no? I know a better from Bessay.
Sebeba from crying to me, my from be a best be 400, and I say be a best be 450. So I say bet to my best be 450.
What's your first thing?
A friend Charles.
So Charles is really concerned about the forex, and for him, I think it's high time we yanked the whole for what's the name, dollar, business dealings. We should only engage in our local currency. Of course, that will also take away the fact that if the dollar is high, it really affects pricing of goods and services. So we should really normalize using our local currency in doing our businesses. And so these are his concerns, and that's Charles, like I mentioned. And I think when I was coming here morning, I met one gentleman who wanted to talk to me. I think that's him. And let's also take his views. I think he's pressing his phone, but let's engage him this morning. Boss, morning.
Hello, question again.
Okay, how are you doing?
I'm doing great and okay.
So I know you are aware of the fact that the minister will be reading the midyear budget review. For me, I want to know, what are your expectations?
My expectation is they have to calm down and reduce goods for us, especially those who are the traders who are importers, and they have to calm down with the everything so we can buy things and do business in which we won't get problem in our business.
But why is it that when the dollar or the cedi is stabilizing and then it has to affect the price, and you guys still maintain your prices? You don't change the price, but if it goes high, you are quick to increase the prices.
Oh, in Abusukan, always we haven't increased our prices. We reduce our prices. So if you want to buy something, we won't make the price high. We will come down for you to buy the goods. Yeah.
What's your name?
My name is Charles Akwaminsa.
So Charles, this is another Charles who spoke to us, and clearly he spoke in the English dialect, and so clearly you can actually deduce something from what he said. And if you just tune in, we're coming to you live from Abosokai. It's one of the largest spare part hubs in the country, and we are here to sample the expectations of spare part dealers here. They've been working with the Forex, and the cost of doing business here is something they've been, singing chorus about. They want that, ease and make their lives comfortable, clearly. And the minister is expected to Parliament in the midday, the joint midday, to deliver that mid-year budget review. And we just still want to talk to more people, and I'm sure that most of them are camera shy, but I would want to talk to this very woman here. Madam, I'll let her end her call and talk to her personally. And she was surprised we're speaking the Tree dialect, so I'm sure she wants to also add her views to this. But Rebecca, no, you look for, you're okay. So, you say who expectations, minister need my budget, or we read budget. You say who the idea we expect a few budgets in.
Oh, me expectation you. When my man cut me corner. This time,
corner is on cut. Yeah, you are live on TV3. Then I will expect a fee budget.
There be a budget is normal. Yeah. They be a la year. Said that your sanity.
Necessarily, we see the dollar and the wouldn't rate.
Dollar rate low, a dear bad deal. Sanity.
Hey, I said your workers, and it really confirms that I had no. It's like we move politics, Anna.
Oh, the first number people buy and pass will be in the die.
But before beer, I also a ton idea because government way yeah, this is $1.17 about 10 something, which is quite good. But the fact that you're not talking about it, I'm my shocked.
I didn't say dollar no taste or no. Yeah, yeah, Yenyeska, they are often no maybe go. Yenyeska and often no go. The time what $2 or so. Then my fan woman. Into Meday, Mataswami Meton. That was what I say. And to more tears no want to so me Moame.
It's damage your next consignment. That means scanning better so. Anna, clearly. Me
then come here, sure, send $1 and what to so. And stay for bear 1 year, my. Now, no man that I autonomous. In film, a film dear. And the number was $1 and what to swab me. But I'm to see a Moame. Because we bet my could be a swatro. And no more yam fire, no, me fire, and $2. No, so mean to so. To me, there be one difference there.
It will be bad, no, Castle Charlie. Women said $1 cost for me to be per se, I made to wait 10 cities last year, and per se, in 2 cities, because $1 cost.
3FM 92.7 Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
All right, and we are back in the studios. This is still the best breakfast show. This is still 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. We're talking mid-year budget review. It's on the agenda for the entirety of the day. At 10 a.m., that's in just about 16 minutes, the Finance Minister, Dr. Cassia Latoforsen, will be in the House of Parliament and will be giving us some figures. We are looking to see what the rest of the year will be looking like. And we have changed the players in the studio. Let me introduce to you and also say a warm welcome and good morning once more to Nelson Kujo Kwagbeji. He is a finance and tax expert, head of finance at Merban Capital Limited. Nelson, good to see you. Good morning.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. You're suited and booted. I know you're looking forward to hearing from the finance minister this morning. We still have in the studios Timothy Awotirim, former MP, Bilsa North. Honorable, thank you for sticking with us up until now. And he has been getting into some key analysis this morning, so he's been giving us some much needed intel, and I think he has some more forecasts for us this morning. Also in the studios, I haven't seen him this year. I'm wishing him Happy New Year at the same time. I've got in the studio Samson Awingobit, executives. Oh, let me introduce you. Oh, you wanted to do that for me. Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association. Good to see you.
I take the good morning, but I did not take the Happy New Year.
Okay.
We are in a half year.
Sure.
And if you haven't given me a Happy New Year, then forever remain kept it to yourself. Listeners, the truth of the matter is that Helen will always see you and remember you. When you are away, she doesn't remember you.
They say out of sight, out of mind.
So
it is rectified today. Today you are here. We look forward to hearing your thoughts.
I have a financial expert to be a witness. I have a former member of parliament who was in the house. That is a house of record. To be a witness. I have Beatrice, a very strong lady, very confident lady, to be a witness. I hope I won't come back here and you will say that next 2025, 2026, they will tell me that I have you again. You say Happy New Year again.
Noted. Duly noted. But you're looking well. It looks like 2025 is treating you superbly, I must say.
For those who have been following me, those who see me in programs, and this is how I always look on point. It is part of institutional requirement. You can't be representing an institution like the Import and Export Association and dress in record. You have to look on point.
Oh, you certainly look the part this morning.
It's part of the branding of the organization.
Still a leader of the PNC, of course. I know today we're talking money, but I do have to add that as well. How's the PNC doing?
Very well. I'm the NASA chairman. You know that in 2024 elections, the EC disqualified my presidential candidate, and as a national chairman, we need to take a bold decision. If you're a leader, sometimes you have to think ahead, take decisions that will have a future interest of the larger society. And so at that time, we realized that no, Ghana didn't want the new patriotic party to come back again. ADL was enough, sufficient. Whatever they wanted to do, they have done it. Whatever ideas, we think that they have exhausted in 80 years. And so there was not like fresh ideas. So we needed to bring new people with new, fresh ideas. And I can say authoritatively that PNC never regretted for taking the decision to support the NDC and John Dramani Mahama, because all of us and Ghanaians have seen the reflection. I'm happy the finance guy is here. We saw what has happened since the medium budget talk date. There have been very good reports all over across the sectors. We go to the port, of course. Where I sit is the port. So besides the PNC as national chairman, I'm the executive secretary for the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana.
That's right.
And our heartbeat is always when there was a rate of 16 cedis to $1.
Sure.
Custom were using 16 cedis calculating duty. Sure. 15 cedis to $1 calculating duty. 14 cedis to $1 calculating duty. When John Dramani Mahama came and they brought it to 10.3, people who were clearing Uber, you know the Uber car, Twitter Vic. And at that time, you remember when Twitter Vic came to the system, it was costing, the market cost was like 25,000, you can buy one. But it came to a time that we were using 14 cedi in calculated duty, that you have to pay a duty of 80,000 or 70,000 or 60,000 to clear that car. So that car, if you are not having 150,000 to 200,000, you cannot get it. It's Honda CVR, you know, ladies like Honda CVR. My sister is here. You know, ladies, you like
yes.
Honda CVR, the one that is very big now. It used to cost like 150,000 in the market, but because the rate went as far as 16 and 14 and 15, Honda CVR became a cost hovering 400,000 before you can get it. And so all it was because if you bring it, you will pay almost 1 point something or 200,000 to clear it at the port. Today, that's all those things there has been drastic reduction, and people who clear cars from the month of March, April, May, June will tell you that indeed, as compared to January, December 2024, November 2024, September, August 2024, they will tell you a lot of people even left their cars in the port.
Certainly. We'll be getting into the nitty-gritty, but let me also say good morning to Beatrice Edu. She's in the studio, and she's going to be doing this with me. In fact, we're going to be here all throughout the day. Beatrice, are you looking forward to that? We're talking money matters, and when it comes to money matters, we are all involved. We are all interested.
And you want to pay critical attention. Because it might affect your pocket.
In fact, it's affecting our pockets, and so far we've laid the foundation, taking you back down memory lane as to what the projections looked like as of March of this year. So again, if you're following us on Facebook, you can look at we're talking about the upside of the cedi appreciation effect. We've had a look at some of the figures. Impressively, inflation has declined. This is taking you down to last year's figures. But if I bring you up to speed, at the top of the year, inflation stood at some 23.5 or 0.6%. As of June, we're looking at 13.7%. The experts say that we could potentially be looking at single digits to end the year. Samson has given us some breakdown, at least in his expertise, what it looks like at the ports. You recall that at January this year, at the start of the year, we're looking at an average of some 15.3 cedis to $1. Now we can squarely put that average at some 10 cedis, 31 pesos. And if you listen to what Samson said, what a difference that makes. We're feeling some of that.
A lot of savings.
A lot of savings being made just in that regard alone. You think about what impact that even has on our debts. I mean, it's not something that you can ignore.
You didn't bring in fuel as well. I think you should have brought in fuel as well.
Most certainly. Into the microphone for me, please. I think it's twisted. Yes.
You should have bring in fuel as well, because if we are discussing this issue, we should also look where we picked fuel, where the new government picked fuel from, and where fuel has been brought. That has also brought a good savings for the country.
In fact, fantastic segue, because I do want to direct my first question to Nelson. And as we look forward to listening to what the finance minister has to say, one issue that has been very topical, or one tax handle that has been very topical, is this 1 Ghana cedi fuel levy. But let's lump that together with this. So my question is, how effective would you say have recent tax reforms, for example, again, the 1 Ghana cedi levy, the e-levy removal, some VAT tweaks, been in practice? All these adjustments we're seeing from where you sit.
All right, thank you very much. Good morning once again. I think that tax revenue is the lifeblood of every economy. No country can develop without tax revenue. And as much as possible, government must still tax, persons within the jurisdiction of the economy to raise the needed revenue. And one of the issues that has bedeviled this country for so long a time has to do with inadequate domestic revenue mobilization. And so you realize that every year in, year out, we come out with a budget, we make projections for the budget in terms of revenue. However, due to structural issues and defects in the system, we are not able to raise the needed tax revenue. Now, in order to raise tax revenue, it is not just sufficient to be increasing taxes every now and then. It is important to understand that in what you call the canons of taxation, one of the principles that underline the canons of taxation has to do with equity and convenience. And so when you keep on increasing taxes, what it means is that you are burdening businesses and individuals, and at a point, they may end up not paying the tax, and that will actually affect your effective tax revenue that you want to mobilize. If you recall, the D levy was introduced as a stopgap measure, or as a measure to actually curtail or solve some of the problems within the energy sector. Now, you also recall that when the government took over power, the government was embarking on a contractionary fiscal policy. The government wasn't really spending.
That's right.
So that actually contributed to the moderation of inflation, and also Bank of Ghana's strict monetary position coupled with the fiscal policy actually, tamed down on inflation. And so I think what is going to happen is that with the implementation of the 1 Ghana cedi D-levy, even though the approval rating was well above 68%, it is going to affect prices at the pump. It is going to affect prices in the market. It is going to affect prices wherever you go, and that may, in one way or the other, engender some inflationary pressures. However, the good thing is that the government's end-of-year inflationary target is 11.9%. Currently, we are doing 13.7%, which means that we have some few percentage points to actually hit end-of-year, target. I actually projected us having a single digit by end of September this year, because if you look at the difference between 13.7 and 11.9 in December, 6 months to go, the difference is just small. If not, had it not been the introduction of the D-levy, I'm sure, because prices generally are coming down. I mean, Guta and the rest, they've asked their members to tame down on their prices. But the D-levy is going to engender some moderate inflationary pressures. Wow. And so the rate at which inflation is moderating, I don't expect us to have such a huge percentage gap end of July as a result of the implementation of the E-levy. The impact on government revenue is that, yes, government is going to raise enough revenue from this one D-levy policy. However, my concern has always been the money must be used for the purpose for which it was intended. I mean, you don't take a money like a fund like or a tax revenue like D-levy and use it to be paying salaries, which means that the structural defect within the energy sector will continue to be there. And so to the extent that we use the D-levy for the intended purpose, I think that the problem that we may not solve the problem entirely with the D-levy. The reason being that even if you look at the 2025 budget, government intended to raise 224.9 billion Ghana cedis.
Indeed.
Out of that, about 64 billion Ghana cedis will be used in debt servicing alone. You get it? You are raising a revenue of 100 cedis, and we are using about 40 Ghana cedis to pay your interest. That is not sustainable. But having said that, it is also not an avenue for the government to introduce new taxes. So when a levy or a tax is introduced for a specific purpose, we expect that to show up the government's revenue. But that revenue must also be used for the intended purpose for which the tax was raised. Because anytime taxes are raised, they have an intention. There is a problem that the tax needs to solve. So government revenue will go up, but the D-levy must be used for the intended purpose so that the legacy issues within the energy sector can be dealt with once and for all. Then let me also quickly add that government introduced certain tax reform measures within the 2025 budget. One of them has to do with the increment of the growth and sustainability levy of mining companies from 1% to 3%. Okay, and that is going to significantly show up, our tax revenue. But the twist is that most of these mining companies, they have what you call stability clauses within the development agreement. And so you can't touch the agreement without consultation. And so I am just wondering how that will play out.
Does the stability clause then affect how much you can tax?
The stability clause says that once we agree, it's like agreement is agreement. Any other adverse tax that you are bringing, it will not affect the agreement because we've already agreed on what to do. Then again, I think there was another tax measure that the government, in fact, all the revenue measures
tax?
No, those ones were, so the COVID levy, the E-levy, the sanitation levy is going to create a revenue gap.
Right.
Okay, it's going to create a revenue gap. And once the revenue gap is created, it means that the government must look for alternative source of replacing those revenue gaps. And I read that the finance minister said they are going to rely on the uncapping of the GET fund. Now, when you look at a budget is just revenue, expenditure, deficit, or surplus. When you get surplus, good news. When you get deficit, you need to go and look for money to finance the deficit. This year alone, we intend having a deficit on commitment basis of 43.8 billion Ghana cedis. It means that we need to go and look for money to actually finance that deficit. But the good thing is that this government has been very efficient and prudent in terms of fiscal management, in terms of expenditure management. We have about 56 ministers, as again 124 ministers. I mean, they were all drawing from the consolidated fund. The government has given a firm commitment that DSTV subscriptions will not be paid.
That's right.
Fuel allowances will not be paid, and all other, subsidiary little expenses will not be paid. That savings will amount to about 121 million Ghana cedis every year. So once we are cutting down on expenditure, you don't necessarily have to introduce any new tax because the expenditure cut will actually compensate for the shortfall in revenue. So I think the D-levy, for me, the approval rating was more than 68%. And you also realize that this government is enjoying some sort of goodwill, most especially within the business community. And so in order to seal and consolidate the confidence that Ghanaians have in the government, the intended purpose of the D-levy must be used to solve the legacy debt and structural deformities within the energy sector.
There have been some conversations this morning about broadening the tax base. And from where you sit, is it really a case of broadening that net, or the prudence needed with what we already have? How do we juxtapose the two? Because certainly I'm sure that government would love to rake in more simply by broadening the tax net. But what are the implications if strict measures are not in place when those monies are in fact collected?
Okay. So that's a very good question. You see, as I did indicate, there is an effect in economic government can collect in order to broaden the base. But when you go to the top and you are increasing the rate rather without broadening the rate, then the base, it means that the fundamental problem about revenue collection in this country is not being dealt with. And so the thing is this: we need to broaden the tax base. We need to make sure that those who are not within the tax net, we rake them into the tax net. And this can only be done through education, this can only be done through sensitization, and this can only be done through conscientization of Ghanaians to know that payment of taxes are civic responsibilities. If you don't pay tax, where do we get money from to develop the country? That is one part. Another part of it is that we as citizens, we must have confidence in the leadership of this country that whatever money that they mobilize, the money is going to be used for the good of this country. We don't expect a situation where tax revenue will be used for personal, gains. We've seen it in the past. It was all over the place. That there was so much wastage in the system to the extent that, you wonder if really people have conscience, especially when projects are abandoned. I remember some time ago, I went to, Bono region. There was this factory started by Kwame Nkrumah. I learned they used to manufacture car tire. When I was shocked.
What did you see?
The place was abandoned, just like the E-blocks and, the previous government, project. Meanwhile, it was tax revenue that was sunk into those projects. Do you understand? And so at one end, we need to broaden the tax base. Then at another end, we must make sure that once the tax revenue is collected, whatever purpose for which the tax was levied must be used for that purpose.
Certainly, Nelson, thank you so much for that. I'll come back to you, but let me also pick the thoughts of Mr. Awingobit. And Nelson makes some good points about the buy-in of the people. The people look to leadership. And would you agree with that statement that the business community seems to have thrown some good support or thrown its weight behind government, behind some of the policy initiatives that we are being told of? And really, how far does that go towards the psyche of the everyday Ghanaian if they see government being prudent with money?
Well, thank you very much. I think Nelson has nailed the nail straight in the conversation. He said the ball rolling. Let me put it in that perspective. You know that during the 2024 general election, one of the interviews, I don't know if it was here or where, I said the business community had made our mind and just waiting for the Zema 7 to come, that they will not speak. When they speak, the government in the day at that time will gang them, will use GRA to harass them. So some were either winding up, some were relocating, some had just collapsed and they sat at home, some were no more importing. I used these other terms. And I said that whatever ideas that the new Patriotic Party presidential candidate were given was very good, but he failed to use them when he was in government for the past 8 years. That is where they now brought in the key word, driver's mate. And I said, hey, mate work with the driver. So if the driver is exhausted, tired, mate will have to take the steers. So sometimes the president travels and the vice president was acting. Why can't you take certain decisions? Or you see that in that regard. So yes, the business community is really in good books. The business community is like, American government or the Americans. They don't have permanent friend. They have a permanent interest. You know that. So the business community doesn't have permanent friend. We have a permanent interest.
You support who can facilitate a smooth business ride.
Absolutely. Who will give you a peace of mind. As you speak now, you are not hearing that Ghanaian importers are taking their cargo to Lome or to Ivory Coast. We used to hear these kind of stories.
Yes.
So when the government came and they brought stability, even though the taxes at the port is still the same, but when the rate has been there for some time, that gives confidence. You see, more people are coming. So he used the word that if you push the tax to a certain extent and the person will not pay, so compliance level will be what? Very low. So in this regard, compliance level is what? Very high. And for that matter, business will go with you. Indeed, it is true. If you go out there to do market survey, the business community will tell you that we are better off this past 6 months than the past 8 years that we found ourselves. Even though my friends in the other side said they give us benchmark values. Remember? Where I raised the issue that the benchmark value that was given to the business community was not a tax reduction. Tax reduction, you have to go to the parliament. So you saw that they just announced what we're doing per our transactions. WTO, when I say WTO, I'm talking about technical terms, World Trade Organization, says that every country, customs, should accept a business owner transactional values. Use my transactional values to assess me. Don't tell me you go on certain website and when I presented my invoice and say this goods I bought it at 100,000, you will tell me that no, you have a place to go and check, and then you realize that this goods is costing me 200,000 or 150,000. That I will give you 50% discount before I'll calculate the data for you. So you are now accepting my transactional values. When the time came and they said, no, we will no longer give you the benchmark values. We want to take it off. So you realize that at that point, go back and look at the figures, and the finance man should be able to help us. At the time that there was benchmark values, you will see that we have the country raked so many revenue. But when they take the benchmark values off and they uplift our value, so you present the value, they will not accept it. Then they are on your neck, you must pay the duties and on that value. You see that people started taking their cargo to Africa, and finding it ways to the market. Then the smuggling issues comes in. So yes, when the government behave that way, the business community are very intelligent people. They will be quiet, but they will be doing business that the masses who will take through unapproved route will find a market in Kumasi. And every business person who import or who bring in cargo to this country, your next market, your biggest market is Ashanti region. So when you go there, you will see a lot of people who do genuine business and a lot of people who do smuggling, because when the thing come tough, they will start to smuggle. And there are so many routes that they can bring goods without passing through the approved route. So yes, business people, as you speak now, and it's not easy to smuggle. When you smuggle, somebody 2 packet is getting full.
That's right.
So, but when the compliance is low and everybody is complying, everybody will come through the port and the government will make the needed revenue. That is what this government did. Again, not that when the government came, they have abolished COVID levy in the port, no. Or they have abolished the special import levy, 2% that we used to ask, no. Or they have given us the flat rate as Baumea was proposing that When he came, he would give us a flat rate at the port. They didn't give us anything. President Mahama, rationalization of the tax hasn't happened yet. Maybe if it will happen, it's going to happen in this mid-year budget review that the finance minister will be coming to parliament today. So these are some of the things. So the magic thing was inflation rate, exchange rate, and interest rate at the bank. I'm told that interest rate, this mid-year budget would push interest rate, let's say 13. I don't know. If that is what will happen, then it's going to be good news for the business because borrowing at the rate of 40% in the previous government wasn't good. He talked about fuel. The D-levy, that he talked about, the 1 cedi levy that they are asking from the energy. I don't know why the name is D-levy. I don't know if that's what Parliament actually used. Did they use D-levy?
No. I mean, this tax handle already exists. This is not even a new tax handle.
Our friends use the word D-levy. But let me say something. Let me say, without any provocation. And I know they would say, because you have taken your part to go and support NDC, that's why you're speaking like you are NDC man. No, I'm not an NDC man. I speak my mind. And that's what, since John Mahama first government, that was how I am. When Okuforo came 2 ADS, that has been how I am. The truth of the matter is that paying 1 cedi and still getting fuel per 1 liter lower than 20 cedis or lower than 16 cedis, which one is better? We are paying 16 cedis here per liter. We are paying 20 cedis at a go per liter. We didn't these people were complaining. They never mind. They never look at anything. And there's all of them, including the 80 members of parliament in parliament there. 80?
No, there are 87.
There are 87 members of parliament in parliament there. They can even be 100. They still haven't done anything. That they were enjoying coupons. Those they were enjoying. Honorable Afema people, they were enjoying coupons. Today, President Mahama said that no coupon. You see, a very strong and good president.
For the business community, how does that sit with you? Does that make it easier for you to give government your buy-in when you see some of these measures being put in place?
Of course. The president say, look, my appointees, I'm paying you. Go and buy fuel on your own. I drove my Land Cruiser to this place this morning. I went to filling station. When I fill it, I think it was 830 Ghana cedis. At the time fuel per liter was running at 20 cedis, I don't think filling Land Cruiser would have paid 820 cedis.
Were you filling at that time?
I'm telling you. I fill at Shell. This morning before I'm coming, I can show you the receipt. It's So I can show you evidence of the receipt. My tank is full, and I can go and open the key for Beatrice to testify and come and testify on air. 830, my Land Cruiser is full. That at that time, per liter of 20 cedis, I cannot buy 800 to fill my tank. I have made so much savings. So with that, you've seen it, yes. And the president has also again cut down his appointees. You know about that. Do you know the president's staffer is not up to 200? I'm not sure. President's staffer is not up to 200. But at the point, you know how many? You know how many were president's staffers in the previous government, and they were all drawing fuel. They were all driving Land Cruisers. They were all paying, drawing from the consolidated account. They were all paying DSTV.
I was going to say, watching DSTV. I'm here, so President Mahama running myself horse. Others are watching DSTV.
Exactly. President Mahama says, no, if you want to watch DSTV with your wife and your children, go and buy your own data. Go and buy your own subscription. So, fuel coupon is gone. Subscription to DSTV is gone. President's staffers has reduced drastically. The vice president office and the previous vice president, you can ask him, how many was his own staffers? This vice president staffer is not up to 50. I'm not sure if they're up to 35. No. I am not. On the 30, they are not. You can call Alex Segofia and ask.
We'll check and corroborate.
No, it is true. It's factual. These are factual. You understand? They can't hide because the list will definitely go to parliament.
Yeah. Indeed.
You know, they always send the list to parliament. We will see and we'll compare and contrast. So when these people are saying this, and we were crying that, look, you can't be increasing COVID on that. You can't introduce, if you want that to tighten our belt, you know, the president himself said we should tighten our belt. We said when they were doing a domestic exchange program, they said we should tighten our belt. We said, have you tightened your belt? Have you reduced your staffers? Have you reduced your appointees? You see, so when the people began to have, we now have faith. Many of them, when Musa Dankwa recently survey, so point fingers to John Mahama that people still have confidence in John Mahama. And they believe in John Mahama. And not just believe it. John Mahama said when they come, Mahama Care will come. He has done it. John Mahama said when they come, he will launch apprenticeship program. He has done it. John Mahama said when they come, he will do the big push. He has done it. John Mahama went to Suffolk line, Krofrom, and said that your road or your flyover
I'm going to continue. John Mahama said when he comes, he's not going to begin any new contract. Have you seen that he has given any new contract? He said he was going to continue from where, and that is one of the cardinal point that the president have said, and I really respect him, is that previous government comes and abandon previous contracts, and that's what the financial expert just said. He went to Bono area and he saw, including he made mention of e-levies and e-blocks.
That's right.
E-blocks was one of the things to reduce this trade system that parents look at the point. My children were in. I had a son who was in Kumasi, Prempe, and I have a daughter who was in Wesley Girls. At the point you have to, you run here, you pay here. They come home like and you have to pay for extra classes for them. You know how parents really went.
That's right.
But they made a lot of money. How were they spending the money? So if you collect my tax and you are spending it prudent way, I know I have confidence to pay. We'll be willing to pay. That's what business people look up to. But if you collect the money and we see you wearing big suit, big tie, you are flying to UK every day with a first class, and the businessman is sitting in economy, and you are collecting my tax when you are sitting in first class, you think you have confidence in you. That was the payment that we gave to the previous government in the 2024 election. It has never happened that a candidate of a president candidate get the numbers that President Mahama had. That is why you journalists give him name that Mahama is a supreme leader, and Mahama says he's not a supreme leader. Even as we speak today, the NDC has 2/3 in
That's
parliament.
right.
They do not need MPP parliamentarians to pass anything, but they are still consulting. Anything that goes to parliament, President Mahama and the current Speaker of Parliament want to consult.
Because that's important.
Want to lobby the 87 that you talk about, members of parliament.
Yes.
So that together they carry us along with the government. What surprised me is National Day prayers. President Mahama reversed some of the holidays and brought it back to the original. And then he's not rewriting stories. That's the right thing to be done. He's not rewriting stories. He's not killing Nkrumah history. And National Day prayers, President Akufo himself spoke.
That's right.
Former President Akufo spoke. Mr. Atta's wife spoke. Rawlings' wife spoke. I think it's only Limam's wife spoke. It's only Atamia's wife that I didn't see. After Ali Mahama wife and himself in the blessed memory, and that is why we didn't hear from her. So all these people give a national statement. Look, for a very long time, I have never seen Limam's wife in public. But Limam's wife was at National Prayers Day. What it means that there's a president who have come and said, look, I have to take care of all the former president and their spouses, and do not select. There were selectives. So everybody want to go that, okay, this is a statement. So I can tell you, I don't know whether if Mama coming back want to also write to say, okay, after Nkrumah, John Mahama, or what, I don't know. But the gentleman, I can tell you, very fantastic.
Thank you for that, and thank you for your initial thoughts. I do want to come to Honorable, but let me pause for a very quick break, because I wanted to pick your thoughts on some things that I'd heard on we've all heard on the floor.
But sorry, he said something that I just want to chip in. He talked about GRA should do broad base, the tax base. That is true. I mean, the Minister of Finance will ask GRA to do those. And he talked about sensitization. Let me say that my heart bleeds when government comes and always silent, not just silent, overlooked the NCCE. The NCCE, some of these civic educations, some of these when we go to vote and people vote ballot are spoiling to that extent, is because we are not empowering NCCE so much, because they have no any internal generated fund. NCCE doesn't. If you take the tax handles that we pass for some institutions like where I sit in Port, we have FDA, they have fees and charges at the port. You have Standards Authority, they have fees and charges at the port. You have EPA, they get fees and charges at the port. You have Energy Commission, they have fees and charges at the port. You have Veterinary Service, they have fees and charges at the port. You have Plant Quarantine Division, they get fees and charges at the port. All is milking the importer to run their own internal staff recruitment. That's the IGF. District Assembly sometimes have internal generated fund. But for NCC, they do not have any internal generated fund.
In fact, it's a big conversation.
The main budget is what they're supposed to allocate. And every budget, they allocate, you see their figure there. But go and ask them, how much have they assessed so far?
In fact, whenever we have engagement with them, they tell you we're relying on donor funds to actually do that work. But it's something we can share.
But we have a national budget that's supposed to cater for them.
In fact,
that's always a figure.
It's honorable that it's one thing to allocate. Yeah, it's another thing to disburse.
No, but once it has been approved by Parliament, that's why I think Parliament should have another oversight responsibility to fund it from the finance minister. They should have, by law, Why you haven't allocated? We have approved this budget. Why haven't you given this line item to this institution to do their mandatory work?
Let's all take a sip of water. We'll go on a very quick break. When we come back, there is more. Okay, I see Nelson pointing at his watch. Bear with us. In due course, we'll be wrapping up this particular conversation. Of course, we're looking forward to hearing from the Finance Minister on the floor of Parliament this morning. We're talking mid-year budget review. This is still 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7.
Hello, Ghana. It's a new year and Bill's Microcredit is here to support your dreams. If you're not working but want to start a business, don't let money stop you. With just your Ghana card, you can get a loan to turn your ideas into reality. Already running a business? Need more capital? Or are you a salary worker looking for extra funds? Bills offers fast and easy loans with no collateral, no deposit, and no SUSI savings required. Wherever you are, whatever you need, Bills makes it happen. Call Bills Microcredit today. Call 0596 920 833 or 0302 200 390 and get started. Bills is licensed and regulated by the Bank of Ghana. Bills, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
Midyear, affordable cooking oil is everything to me and my family. Sure, when I discovered that Frytol sachets come in different sizes, are affordable, and can be used to refill my original Frytol bottles, I switched fast from these Bubi Mame oils for the frying of my buffroots and for cooking all my favorite meals.
Switch to Frytol sachets, your trusted and convenient cooking oil for all your Frytol bottle refills. You deserve a life of goodness. This advert is FDA approved.
Looking for the ultimate fun experience for your party, school event, health walks, or corporate hangout? Look no further than Games on Wheels Ghana. We bring the game to you literally. With our fully equipped mobile game truck, you and your guests can enjoy the latest games on PlayStation, pool table, soccer table, giant Jenga, and table tennis. All in a cool, climate-controlled setup. Whether it's Ludo or Ware, Draft, the excitement never stops. Founded in 2020, Games on Wheels Ghana is the first of its kind in the country, delivering premium on-the-go entertainment right to your doorstep. Perfect for birthdays, weddings, team building events, and more. So why stress about planning fun when Games on Wheels Ghana can roll it right to you? Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Games on Wheels GH. Book today and level up your next event. Games on Wheels Ghana. We bring the fun to you.
FM, the best in the morning.
Time check, it is some 23 minutes past the hour of 10. Still live here on 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. We're talking mid-year budget review. Nelson Kuja is a tax expert and he's in the studio. I know he has to take leave of us very quickly. So let me take your final thoughts for what it is that you're expecting today, whatever key highlights it is that you're expecting to hear, and then we can wrap up
thank
with
you very much. As an economy, we have made so much gains from the beginning of the year till today. Inflation has moderated 13.7%. We have enjoyed relative stability of the Ghanaian cedi. We have built enough reserve to support the international business community. Our sovereign ratings has also, gone up, currently at B-, even though not really, good, but it's an improvement. Investor confidence, no matter how you look at it, has also gone up. And so my expectation is that the finance minister will tell us what measures they are putting in place in order to consolidate, all the gains that we have made. And also where there are some structural deformities, what measures they are putting in place to correct, those deformities. I also expect the 24-hour economy plus policy to feature hugely in the budget. In fact, the president made mention of the fact that he's looking at 1.7 million decent and quality jobs to be created as a result of the implementation of the 24-hour economy plus policy. And so we want to see some highlight regarding the implementation implementation plan, the government wants to commit $300 million as seed capital for the implementation, which to me may not be sufficient, looking at how ambitious, the whole project is. And so on overall, we want to see stability not only for this year, but stability for next year and the subsequent years. And also, we also want the government to continue with the fiscal consolidation measure. In fact, it has actually worked. The prudent, effective, and efficient, expenditure management has actually worked. I mean, I was surprised when my big brother said that presidential staffers are not even up to 100. What did you mention? President.
I mean, is it even 50? I don't even know if it will get up to that. Yeah.
So that means that this government is actually lean. The government is actually efficient. My only recommendation is that the savings that will be making from the DSTV's subscription, fuel allowances, and the rest, I think that money should be destinated to satisfy the recurrent expenditure of the various senior high schools. You see, education is very expensive, even at the individual level. Very expensive. Get Fund, the enabling act of the Get Fund is supposed to champion infrastructure development of all schools in Ghana. And so once you have a dedicated source of funding for a particular project or policy, then it makes the implementation very easy. In fact, in 2022, I went to Sunyani. I will not mention a secondary school. And I was with the headmaster when the headmaster called another school that, I have sugar, but we need oil for our afternoon, cooking. Then I was surprised that, is that the kind of butter you people do in the system? I say, yes. Sometimes you have this, you have to call your colleague headmaster to ask if it's so that you can swap. But since this government came to power, we haven't heard of shortage of food, those things in the secondary schools. But I think the savings that they'll be making from the DSTV and all those, in which the economic advisor to the vice president said will be around 121 million cedis a year, I think that fund should be destinated to satisfy the recurrent expenditure of the secondary school, so that can be taken off, government head. So on generally, I think that we expect the finance minister to give assurance to the business community, to give assurance to investors, and to give assurance to all Ghanaians that yes, the economy is on track and they are managing the economy efficiently and effectively.
Thank you so much for your time this morning. Nelson Kujo Kwagbeji is a finance and tax expert and head of finance at Merban Capital Limited. And you've been very insightful this morning. Thank you for lending your voice to the discussion. I want to pick the thoughts of Honorable very quickly again on this one Ghana cedi levy on the fuel. Now, there was some critique about how it was passed. Because of what one would say was a lack of sufficient consultation. That was a critique that came government's way. Subsequently, we saw that some adjustments were made to also reflect what was going on the global stage. You recall Israel and Iran and US, they had some fracas going on and it was paused, eventually reinstated. Now, there have been a lot of talk about the inefficiencies in the energy space and how that has been compounded, over time. And many are of the view, I've been testing the pulse, that we shouldn't have to pay for these inefficiencies. Yes, we know that we've got to buy the fuel and the legacy debts are really choking us. We have to do something. But what really is going to be done long term to address this particular issue long-term wise? I think a lot of people wanted to know, are we going to continuously have to bear the brunt of inefficiencies? I mean, so many problems in the energy sector.
Yes, I think, you see, and I like the way you put it, are we going to bear the brunt of the inefficiencies? And if that is so, how long can we continue to burden people who are paying? Remember, the ordinary consumer like you and I, my brother, we pay, we buy prepaid, so we pay, we don't owe anything. Is that not it?
That's right.
Now we have what we call the technical losses and the commercial losses in the energy sector. The commercial losses are simply because the targeted revenue that ECG and other power producers are supposed to, and they do not get that amount. Some of them leak through some holes, and recent reports have really indicated that one, ECG is having some huge debt. We don't know how it is coming from. You saw the report, the Auditor General report. Before the Auditor General, the entire energy sector owned over 81 billion Ghana cedis. ECG alone owns over 60 billion cedis. Can you imagine who created that debt? You remember, because of the non-payment of monies to independent power producers, the cash for water mechanism was brought by the NDC. We introduced before they took over. When they took over this cash for water, they completely moved away from the agreement as that when they have to pay, when they collect the money. At one time, the former government collected over 40 million. They ended up paying just 10 million. The 30 million fizzled out. That was in 2024. So even the laid down rules and regulations to pay the power producers was completely thrown away. The money used frivolously. Do you remember when they were spending about 50 million Ghana cedis at the presidency buying car ties, car ties? You remember those things? I can enumerate about 15 of them. That was how these wastes and the monies were used. And when you do that, then you turn around and then you say, yeah, the consumers who are already paying should look at expenditures like this. 50 million spent on car ties and batteries only in 9 months. 59 million spent on operational enhancement of the president in only 9 months. That's the taxpayers' money. 51 million spent on fuel bills at the presidency, 9 months, 51 million. Look, when you do that, then you leave. I can go on, but that's not what for the discussion. I only cited there are many. Right. I'm citing this for you to know how the taxpayer has been overburdened, and that is why we want to move out from frivolous expenditures, wasteful expenditures, monies that do not go to enhance capital investment. We are talking about the dollar stability. The dollar would only stabilize when you invest in capital projects that can pay themselves off. The dollar will stabilize when export derived, which we are going to do through through the 24-hour economy. That is where we are going. For instance, look at our import bill. Import bill for tin tomato, $1 billion.
$1 billion.
$1 billion. Can you imagine? Rice, $800 million. Sugar and confectionery, $300 million. Flour, yes. Yes, I was saying it. $600 million. Poultry alone. So when we are able to roll, I can go on and on and on. When we are able to reduce, that's how your dollar can really maintain its stability. Now the 1 cedi at the pump, in order to, in fact, that money is going to be ring-fenced to be used for fuel, even just the fuel. Not to work on the technical losses. Technical losses means that we have obsolete machinery and the transmission lines. As you transmit power, get lost and so on. There's theft and so on. That leads to sometimes the trip. These days they call it the power trip because of these things and so on when they are loaded. Over time, we haven't retooled this. Remember when we were in Power, because of the way we govern the energy sector, when we're leaving, ECG made profit, and Northern Electricity, Greco made profit. Then again, when you go, we left ESLA.
That's right.
For us to be able to use to arrest the hemorrhaging, energy sector debt in order to end it. It even had clauses that would end. They came and extended it to 2035. Using the money, and they do not even pay the power producers. When you do this and a new government takes over, and I think what consumers would rather want to have a stable and an efficient power, especially those in business, so that they can have their businesses run without power unnecessary power interruptions and so on. Right. So the initial implementation of the policy was fraught with challenges. It was withdrawn, or it was stayed so that we could do better engagement, and we gave it a time that it would take off on 1st July, and that indeed has done. I think what consumers want now is that accountability.
Indeed.
After the end of the year, after every 3 months, can the finance minister or the energy minister come and brief the people of this country? You've collected, let's take it, 100 million from that. What did you use it for? Did you use it in buying for? Let's see. Once we do that, we are building confidence in the people and we are carrying them along. You know, if you don't carry beneficiaries of policy, public policy along, there's always a gap, a lacuna. That gap is where fake news come in, and merchants of fake news would take advantage of it and destroy whatever policies that you have. So for me, it is not an easy thing for a new government to start talk. After this one, you are not going to get tax. We are not going to bring. There won't be any new tax in this. And let me cite some of this wasteful expenditure. You know, the total cost that we are looking at the cathedral is now almost 100 million.
So at what, 97 million we're told?
Million. Let me ask you a question. Do you know how much the Opokuase interchange cost?
Some 94 million.
94 million. So that's a Opokuase interchange lying down there in the hole, with even a balance of $3 million that you can use it to support people at the dialysis who are dying. $3 million.
Honorable, I want to explore this. I want to explore this further. Let me just pause you very briefly so that I can engage Dr. George Domfe. He's been waiting on the line for a little bit, and then we'll come back because the issue of wastage is a big one.
It's a big
and in fact, when it comes
look at the
to
auditor's report,
accountability,
let's even put everything. Just take Ghana, the Ghana government owns the auditor's report and go through and see whether you would not this morning bow your head in shame. Look at every institution has been run down. The question at the end of the day, because you're a media man, ask this question. Do we really think that state institutions run at a loss? I do not think so, because managers of state institutions, they live like Arabian kings. While the state institution is collapsing, their lifestyles continue to flourish. You cannot run a state institution down that's supposed to employ young people and make profit, while you yourself, your take home, as we've seen, 40,000 a week. And you turn around and tell me that state institution is run at a loss. Do we genuinely think that state institutions run at a loss? The answer is no, because the lifestyle of the managers does not support that theory. It means that we have to reset the institutions to give us what is taxpayers' money. If we pour money into ECG, name them, into GMPC, into GHOC, it's our mandate, so we expect returns.
We'll come back and put some more flesh on the bones in that regard. But let me say good morning and a very warm welcome to Dr. George Domfe. He's a development economist at the University of Ghana. Doc, hello, good morning to you.
Good morning, Manchester.
Thank you so much for joining us on the program. Hope you're well.
By His grace, everything is well with me.
Now, let's get stuck straight into it. And I'd like to pick your thoughts on this mid-year budget review coming up very shortly. To start off with, what are your major expectations ahead of this morning's review?
Let me thank you as well for this opportunity. And let me say very good morning to viewers and listeners. My expectation, as usual, is that the finance minister is going to tell Ghana how well they have managed the economy. Because now, if you look at inflation, they inherited an inflation hovering around 23%. Today, it dropped to 13.5 or 7.
13.7%.
Again, they inherited $1 to 1 cedi at 14 cedis 70 pesos. Today, $1 is 10 cedis 40 pesos. And so definitely it's going to brag how they have managed the economy. Again, not so long ago, one of the credit rating agencies, was it Fitch also, came out to push us from 60 plus to B minus with a stable outlook. And so I'm sure today it's all going to be I told you, give the steer to me and I could drive well, and now this is where I've been able to push the economy to. I think those are the things we are going to hear.
All right. So certainly a recapping of some of the macroeconomic indicators that you say have seen a bit of a turnaround. We're seeing the figures going in the right direction. At least, but from where you sit, how sustainable is Ghana's recent GDP growth given softening investments and structural challenges?
Yeah, talking about the growth, it is sustainable. We all know if you go back to 2017 all through, the economy was actually growing well, especially before the COVID. And even after the COVID, we saw the economy growing at 5.4% in the year 2021. But 2022, when the global economic turmoil set in and it affected us, inflation, we recorded inflation the highest in 27 years at the end of 2022, December, even though at the beginning, inflation hovered around 13.9. And the fact is that since January 2017, inflation has been kept below 15%, and so inflation was never a problem for 61 months of the previous government. Exchange rate had hovered, had stagnated, between 4 cedis to 8 cedis, 4 cedis to 5 cedis, 80 pesos. And if you look back to our economic history, one of the best periods we saw cedi doing very well was the first 61 months of the previous government's administration. But what happened? The year 2020, at the beginning of the year, we had 9.9 billion reserves to protect the cedi. But in the middle of the year, when we had almost, Bank of Ghana had almost spent all the dollars, cedi was exposed. So by August, $1 was going for 8 cedis, 20 pesos. By October, it moved to 15 cedis interbank exchange rate, and then the forest, it went as far as 17 cedis. And people really suffered. But it was during this time that we decided as a country to go to IMF. And so we started negotiating with them right away. And in 2023, we needed to do some amendments to our revenue generation. And we introduced 3 revenue amendment bills based upon all these IMF accepted us. And after they accepted us, they immediately asked us to reduce our expenditure. Yeah, but our listeners, we have to know that of the 17 times that we have gone to IMF, they always told us what we should do. This time around, we rather told them what we wanted to do. So we put together a document. I think Ken Oforiatta was then the finance minister. He led the team to put together what they call PCPEG, whose COVID economy program for growth. And when they did, IMF accepted it. And they said that year we would grow 1.5%. Indeed, 2023, the economy defied the expectation of an IMF, and it grew 2.9%. The following year, 2024, IMF again said we will grow 4%, but we ended up growing 5.7%. And this is to suggest that the current growth that we are seeing is because of the PCPEG, because the new government continued with the program, and so the PCPEG is currently what is being implemented, and it is working very well.
So you credit the prior administration with the growth of what we're seeing. That's who you credit
exactly.
the
so that
growth.
is why the growth, I'm just trying to say that looking at where the growth picked from 2003 2024, there is no doubt that this year the economy will not grow well, because we are using the same PCPEG. We haven't changed it, and this government is doing very well with implementation of the PCPEG. I mean, recently when an IMF officials came, they were very happy with the way, apart from few red flags that they raised, they are generally very happy with the way that we are implementing the PCPEG. And so I think that the growth that we are experiencing is sustainable. We are even going to do better by the end of the year.
Beyond this PCPEG, how do you rate this government's efforts at fiscal prudence? Look at the cut down in the various sectors, the cut down in the number of ministers in the office of the presidency. Quite staggering cuts have been made. You look at measures such as a reduction of fuel coupons, some of the luxuries that you would find in state corporations, DSTV and the like. How far would you say that these measures have gone in improving our macroeconomic indicators?
Yeah, those measures are very excellent. If the president says that nobody is going to enjoy fuel coupon and all those things that I've heard, they are all very, very important and very good. That is to suggest that they also want to join us to all embrace whatever bad time that we are having, so that in the good time we all enjoy. I think that is very excellent move from the president. But as an economist, I don't look at those things, because most often they say those things, and at the end of the day, you don't see it. In fact, President Mahama himself, when he was president, once talked about cutting down salaries of workers. Eventually, when the figures came, we didn't see those cuts in the figures. And so most of the time, you hear some of these things and you may not see it happening. But as an economist, I would want to look at the budget, what they told us. Indeed, 2024, Nana Akufo-Addo's government spent on commitment basis, because now, IMF is restricting us to not to talk about cash basis, but to talk about commitment basis. On commitment basis, Nana Akufo-Addo government spent 279 billion Ghana cedis. And this government said that they were going to reduce it, indeed, to 270.9. And so that means that we were going to save over 8 billion. But these were projections. We can only see it happen at the end of the year. If at the end of the year we are able to save 8 billion, I think I will plan for them. But I don't see it happening. Because, for example, before the year, we didn't have or at the time they presented a budget and told us that we're going to spend 270.9 billion on commitment basis. At that time, there was nothing like D-levy. And now I do know that the D-levy is going to rake in more resources. And those
when you say there was nothing like D-levy, you know that this is not a new tax handle, if you will. It's just been increased. So you mean we didn't know there was going to be an increment in that existing tax handle?
Yeah, so let's look at it. If you say tax handle, if you pick petroleum taxes, we have so many of them. So this component, this D-levy, has been introduced. It has been added on to the various components that we have, and so it's like it's a basket. And in the basket, we have so many items in the basket. A new item that was never there has been introduced.
Right.
So that's how it is. And so we have so many petroleum taxes. In fact, when we deregulated the market, the petroleum sector in the year 2006, the Kunkofo introduced 5 taxes, and later when NDC came, they pushed the 5 taxes to 8, including the ESLA. That's how they introduced the ESLA. So ESLA was something new, it wasn't there, but it was added on to the 5 that the Kunkofo government introduced. Now, Mahama, getting to the end of 2016, took out 2 and what it only says taxes. Akufo-Addo came and in his first year, he dropped excise tax on petroleum and worked with only 5 during his first term. But second term, he introduced 2 more levies to make it 7. And so this D-levy coming is an addition. It's not the existing rate that is being an increase. It is an addition that is being introduced to that particular set of tax. So, that's an explanation there. So, with the D-levy coming and with the influence, definitely you're going to spend. For which reason, I expect that today the finance minister is going to tell us that the commitment basis that the money he said he would spend on commitment basis at 270.9 billion would likely go up definitely. And so the whole thing is not so much about I have reduced the number of ministers. It's about, at the end of the day, how much did you spend? Because now, if you did that, they have rationalized expenditure. And so some areas where the previous government wasn't spending so much, today they are spending so much. For example, education. They have allocated 78 million Ghana cedis. And compared to the previous government, they were not doing even up to 4 million. And it has gone up, but they will tell you that it is now covering so many things than the previous government did. But whatever that it is, every government has their priorities, and if they think that communication is what will help them to get to where they want to push the country to, I don't have a problem with it. But I would have wished that at the end of the day, government says I've cut this, it will be reflected in the total expenditure. And so if at the end of the day, and Akufo-Addo spent 270 billion, 79 billion, and this government also spends the same amount or more, and we don't see so much happening, then I would have, said that the cut hasn't reflected, the life. I mean, I'm talking about the luxury, the comfort that we want ordinary Ghanaians to have.
And Doc, my final question for the morning. What macroeconomic risks, that's both domestic and international, demand urgent attention, would you say, and should be captured in this budget cycle?
Sorry. Yeah, you're well.
Oh, apologies. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, I think it's better.
Yes. I was going to ask my final question about if there are any macroeconomic risks, both domestic or international, that you think demand urgent attention.
Yeah, so the risk I see is the exchange rate. We all know until 1983, April, Ghana, we were doing fixed exchange rate regime. That was what we were doing. And then as soon as we started the Bretton Woods institutions economic reform, economic recovery program, and structural adjustment program, we move on to the mixture that is floating and managed. When we say floating and managed exchange rate system, that is where periodically Bank of Ghana will come out to supply, to intervene, to protect the city. Why the demand, the forces of demand and supply for foreign currencies would always take the lead to determine how much cedi should be exchanged for the foreign currencies. And so that has been the practice. Indeed, the year 2007, we deepened it. We deepened it through the inflation targeting. We deepened this agenda to create our foreign, our city to, as it were, fight the other foreign currencies. And when I say fight, it is to say that the value of the city will be more dependent on the demand and supply of the foreign currencies. Recently, we have seen cocoa doing very well in the international market. Commodity prices, cocoa, gold, and recently there was a huge inflow, $1.6 billion that came to Ghana through cocoa. And so Bank of Ghana's reserves is doing very well, going up through cocoa and all those things. And because of the secondary forest, the inflows of foreign currency to the secondary forest has been very encouraging. And I didn't expect the Bank of Ghana to intervene the way they did. April alone, they supplied $490 million. May, $25.5 million. As soon as they did, $1 that hovered around 4 cedis 90 pesos dropped at the end of May to 10 cedis. And this is so artificial, because for how long can you sustain this? And now you see, when some of us came out to talk about it on TV3 Key Point, I talked about this. That's not a good move for the governor to do. But some people said, no, the governor wasn't even intervening. They were not doing anything until recently, and the IMF came to say that, no, that's not true. They are the intervention has gone way overboard. Now, what are we saying? Today, because the bank couldn't supply as much as they did in May and April, their rate is 10 cedis, 10.4 to $1. But if you go to the banks, you don't get the dollar you want. And so people have been going to the Abochi market, and Abochi has now become the main determinant, of the dollar rate. And now it is hovering around 12 cities, 80 pesos to 13 cities. That is what is happening. And so if you do that, then we are going back to 1983, where the government will come out under the fixed exchange rate regime to tell us that this is the rate, and in reality, you go to the banks, you don't get dollars, and the black market became the main, avenue where people could get foreign currencies. If you do that, then you are giving the economy to the black market, and that's not the way to go. And so I think that it's time Bank of Ghana came up boldly to tell the people that this is what I did, I'm not going to do that again, and let's allow the dollar to take its own value. Of course, Bank of Ghana's intervention is very essential within that framework of a floating exchange rate, managed floating exchange rate regime. So their intervention is essential. But coming out to pump 490 million a month is something that I think it was very unnecessary. And so they should come out, tell people, and be able to raise the rate from 10.4 as it is now to the realistic rate, about 13 or whatever that it has to be. Because until recently, we've never heard that I've gone to bank, I'm looking for dollar that I didn't get it. But if we want to bring this, something that we have dealt with years ago, decades ago, if we want to bring it back, then it means that we have sending the economy backwards, we don't want to move forward. And so that is a potential risk. What the Bank of Ghana, the way they are managing the exchange rate, it becomes too political. And I think the previous governor did very well. He stood on his grounds. I remember last year when people were pushing him to supply, he came out to say that I can bring CD to dollar 10 to 10 cities to $1. I can
in fact, Doc, that assertion by yourself, I think could be very heavily contested. But of course, we won't go in that direction. But thank you so much for your thoughts.
What is it? What is it that could be contested?
No, I'm just saying, in testing the pulse, when you make that assertion, I say that there are other views or schools of thought when it comes to the management.
Which of them? When I said that the old governor stood on his grounds and didn't supply.
Yes.
No, but there was so much dollar. So this is fact. You can't contest fact. They had 9 billion in the reserves, and the fact that he could supply and he didn't supply and still kept around 14 tells you that these are facts. You can't contest these things. These are facts. Please.
All right, Doc. Again, thank you so much for your time this morning and for your contribution to the conversation. We've been speaking with Dr. George Domfe, development economist at the University of Ghana. Some interesting thoughts there as we look forward to the mid-year budget review. I'm still in the studio. I've got Honorable here. I've also got Samson Awingobit. I know you've got to go to our sister station also soon, so I'll let you have your final bite.
If you have not called this man, it would have been helpful.
No. We're platforming a myriad of views.
The expert who left here had raised relevant issues and has cautioned government where to do, how to maximize, how to expand target, how to continue with the fiscal discipline. The gentleman says that Dr. Domfe says that the previous governor of Bank of Ghana had the dollars. What rate were we trading? A previous government that tightened the prime rate of the Bank of Ghana, the monetary rate, remember, Helen? And move it to as far as 28, right? Prime rate, and said he was doing it in the name of inflation. Remember? And inflation went as far as 54.
2022.
This is the Bank of Ghana, the governor of Bank of Ghana. You come to tout.
In fact, I didn't want to open this can of worms because I know the opinions are many.
He left the office, and interest rate for commercial banks is hovering at 40%. Is that the one is that the one that he's talking about? When the governor of Bank of Ghana at the time, who was running away, that he's in charge of monetary rate and somebody's in charge of fiscal rate. Yet monetary rate sent us interest rate at 40%. He said it was inflation. We should go to the Minister of Finance. Do you think when Atufosin came and Dr. Eshiama came and Sami Gemfi came, if these people had not put up their heads together and worked together, would have brought it? The governor of Bank of Ghana is touting today left us at 14 cedi to $1. Today we are talking about 10.3, and you said what? You say it's about politics? This is reality. Indeed, the ordinary citizen out there go to the market, they themselves, market women take a product and say, this used to Helen, but you saw it on social media. As far as even Bono region and other region, Asante region, you saw when President Mama went to Kumasi, the market women, you saw what they said. You pick a product and say, this used to cost me 60 cedis. Today this cost me 25, 40 cedis. There have been service. And you said what? I don't know. You see, some of these are the people that I remember. There was 2023 or 2024. That I went to Parliament, Channel 1 or CCTV at the time, and I asked, some of these people who say they have doctors. I don't know where they got their doctors from, because this is a reality. This is a reality that you should tell us what was the rate that the previous government left us. If dollars were there, why would dollars was hovering around $1 was hovering around as far as 20 Ghana cedis? You remember? Dollar went as far as 16 cedis to 20 cedis. Yeah. And so you said, and you said dollars were there. This is the governor of Bank of Ghana who introduced the gold for oil. You remember?
I recall.
Yes, it was a baby.
We're told it was a two-pronged approach. It was gold and cash for oil.
And you know the recent report, how much we lost from the gold for oil? Huh? You just saw the report. And there was an intermediary. They were not using the gold to buy straight the oil.
Of course.
There was someone in the middle.
So they could
take the gold, go and sell, take his profit, and then sell and then buy. What policy is that, my sister?
Of course, yes.
What was that policy for?
We're told gold and cash for oil.
So, for instance, if you had the oil, instead of me to bring the gold straight to you, we look at the value, you give me the oil and I give you my gold. No, there was a middleman who would take the money, the gold, sell it, change it into dollars.
So there was that like butter trade.
Yes.
You remember
and then go and pay dollars. What sort of thing? Have you seen the recent report about we losing $2 billion from the gold for oil trade? What policy was that? What is Dr. Duffy talking about?
The scenario the financial expert just left here and said. He said he went to a school, and the school said, I have sugar, but I need another commodity. I have to call my sister's school, another sister's school, the headmasters or the headmistress, and say, I have this. If you have this, give and take. That's barter trade.
Yeah.
So we were told that we were going to use gold to buy oil for us. Is that not it?
Indeed.
I don't know. There was a middle person. Do you know the profit that middle person has made? Do you know how COVID levy, when COVID came, do you know how much the gentleman they brought to airport here, the Nigerian guy, you
mean for the testing, the COVID testing?
They were taking
hundreds of millions of dollars.
They have made somebody overreach.
Yes.
Do you know that the previous government were rather abolished aviation fuel, VAT on aviation fuel? Remember, ask yourself, Helen, how many ordinary, even your own station here, TV3 here or 3FM here. How many of your staff can go to Kumasi and afford to jump plane to Kumasi or Tamale or even go to Dubai or USA? But aviation fuel, this that his government that is touting was abolished.
When you say his government, he joined us as a development economist from the University of Ghana.
His government, don't mind him. The government that is touting abolish VAT on real estate. How many ordinary citizens in this country, in your studio here, you have your staff, your producer here, can they afford to buy a real estate? It's the rich people. The luxury tax that they brought, they abolished it because they were having a luxury tax. In fact, you know why they couldn't collect the property tax? Because if you go to Cantonment, Labone, Airport, Ring area, that is, the kind of building that you see, the commercialized building that you see there, belong to them, those people. So when they say tax themselves, when someone say ping yourself before you ping me, they were not ready to ping themselves. So
ping yourself before you ping me.
Yes. So they were rather taxing the ordinary and living in the luxury life. That's the kind of luxury life that your mama said, no. If you're a minister, buy your own DSTV. We need to applaud you for that. If
Samson, thank you for
buy
this.
Buy your own fuel. We need to applaud you for that. If you're a minister, please, you are there to serve. You are not there to lord. These guys were lording over us.
And now people say it's not even attractive to get into government. They say they won't even find anything there. But Samson, thank you so much for your time this morning. Let me go on a very quick break. When we come back, we'll still be chatting in studio. This is still 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. minutes past the hour of 11. This is still 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. And can I have your attention for this very important public announcement? Now, the Ghana Railway Development Authority, GRDA, wishes to inform the general public that effective 5th August 2025, all railway leases in the Greater Accra region granted by the Ghana Railway Company Limited, GRCL, and the GRDA up to the end of December 2023 will undergo review. Members of the public who hold leases granted by either of the railway entities, that's GRCL, GRDA, are hereby required to present the leases to the GRDA for review. Leaseholders are advised to come to the GRDA office at number 2 Sia Crescent in Roman Ridge Airport Residential Area in Accra from the 5th of August 2025. Please come along with all railway lease documentation in your possession. Also bring payment receipts, ID cards, and any other relevant documentation. Kindly note that all persons who currently occupy any railway property, that's land, bungalow, warehouse, etc., and who fail to comply with the directives may have their leases cancelled, and they will forfeit their right to the use or occupancy of the railway property. For further information, please contact the GRDA office on this phone number: 050-545-0918. That's 050-545-0918. Again, from the 5th of August 2025, GRDA will review all railway leases granted up to December 2023. Failure to comply may lead to a forfeiture to the right to use or occupancy of the railway property. Do contact, one more time, 050-545-0918 for further information. And again, this is still 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. We're wrapping up our conversation in studio, and of course it's all towards looking forward to the mid-year budget review. Still in the studios with me, Timothy Awotrim, former MP, Bilsa North. Honorable, the way you're smiling, I see some butchering has taken place.
I'm smiling because you are struggling to mention the name. Anyway, it's the first day, so with time you get used to
Absolutely,
it.
absolutely.
Yes.
But what a morning it has been so far. I think we've been able to explore different items as far as the budget review is concerned. But what do you finally leave us with as we get ready to cross over to Parliament?
Yes, even there was something very important. You see the IMF conditions that went. We had a time that we are going to meet so that we can exit. We are meeting all those conditions this year. The last meeting, surprisingly, we are meeting all the conditions that were spread over years, about 10 years to come. We are meeting everything this year. It means that we are doing something right, and people should applaud that. And that was in the doldrums. We had borrowed to the extent that we can no more borrow even $1 from outside before we took over. Debt to GDP now is 43. What it means that Mark, a governor who ran the Bank of Ghana,